The novel is called Empress Rosaline. Its main character had an attractive appearance. She was kind and sincere by nature. This is a classic love story with three graceful male characters. One of them is the emperor's cousin, who is Marquise Rainier von Werner. Another of the youngest and strongest knights of the empire is Lord Maynard von Arnis. And another one of them is the ruler of the continent and the god of battles. This is the Emperor of the Sun, Ada Ivern, the story of a novel in which there are such ideal male heroes. It all starts with a mistake by one clumsy priestess. The girl was wondering how she could have made such a mistake during the purification ceremony. After all, it had to be done in silence and under strict supervision. This ceremony was done to protect the crops and ensure a good harvest, and it is carried out in complete silence. After this mistake of the clumsy priestess, as if God Rahan was angry with them. After all that year, the empire was hit by drought. At the same time, the lower class of nobles were relegated to the ranks of commoners. So Rosalind, who found herself in the same situation, went to the capital to earn money. With the help of a distant relative, Countess Blumberg, she became the teacher of the emperor's only brother, Duke Levi's. In the Imperial palace, she was loved not only by the emperor, but also by two minor characters. The plot of this book tells how Rosalind, having gone through all the difficulties, becomes the empress. While the young lady thinks, what about the priestess who ruined the ceremony, and what happened to hers? Apparently no one cared about her fate because she was just a minor character. A little while later, the young lady wakes up and wonders where she is now. And also, didn't she try to save the cat on the roof? The girl also wonders if this is a hospital, but she understands that she feels fine. At that very moment, someone opens the door to her room and says that the lady first made such a mistake and then pretended to be sick. The main character wonders what she's talking about, but the lady only asks if Elena isn't ashamed. Elena, looking at this girl, thinks if she really has blue eyes, after which she only says that if I caught the lady, she herself would never let her eat. The main character understands that this girl looks like a foreigner, although she has such a good knowledge of the language. And her interlocutor claims that the more she thinks about what happened, the more she understands that it is all her fault. And the girl asks if this is how Elena repaid the temple that picked her up from the street. And if she is happy now, the main character thinks about what she is talking about and asks the nurse to listen, because she was probably wrong. Well, after this, the girl only snaps back and asks what kind of nonsense this is, and also whether she has really gone crazy. The brunette also claims that she can't even leave her, even though the girl ruined the ceremony. Therefore, from tomorrow she will pray to God for her forgiveness. After that girl leaves, the main character thinks what is going on there because she does not understand anything. And is it possible to shout at a sick person like that? After which the young lady screams at her sister and asks if there is anyone there. The young lady then thinks that it must all be a dream, and that she even dreamed of the kitten running onto the roof. And when she wakes up, everything will definitely return to normal. The next morning, the young lady wakes up from the fact that someone is her calls. After she opens her eyes, she wonders if there really is a red-haired foreigner there now. The young lady wonders if she is still asleep, after which she claims that her name is not. That she also thinks that she might just look like this Elena. He also claims that the lady was probably mistaken, but she asks if it's true that the girl doesn't remember anything, not even her own name. The main character shakes her head and then asks what her interlocutor's name is. She replies that her name is Marie, after which she asks if it is true that they want to kick the girl out of the temple. She also asks her friend to wait a little bit, and then brings her a mirror. And he asks if Elena remembered anything. The main character then goes into shock and thinks that this can't be. And now, she is a foreigner with silver hair and brown eyes. So the lady wonders if this is really a dream. The girl with red hair says that her interlocutor is behaving strangely even during the ceremony itself, and the main character thinks about what she's talking about, and then asks Marie to say it again. And he grabs her by the shoulders, after which the girl screams that it hurts and asks if she did something wrong. Well, the main character just tells her to tell more details. Marie asks what exactly, after which he claims that the girl's name is Elena, and that she spilled wine at a purification ceremony, thereby depriving all the inhabitants of their harvest. The main character remembers the purification ceremony and wonders if this is the world of the novel she recently read. Well, the girl also understands that she is not the main character, and not a rich woman, but a woman created for the ceremony. after which the young lady completely loses consciousness, realizing that she is an awkward student who is also a minor character. A little while later, Elena realizes that she shouldn't read novels indiscriminately, especially romance novels, but she definitely didn't read this book. A year later, the girl had already gotten used to life in this world. Her name is Elena, now life after her, heroin ruined. Everything was not very fun. After all, everyone treated her terribly. Although it was not her fault, the other two priestesses were whispering to each other at this time. After which, one of them turns to the main character and tells her to catch this thing. And then he throws a rag at the young lady and apologizes, and also says that he slightly miscalculated the strength. But let her wash this too, to which Elena agrees. One of the sacred ones then turns to the other and asks if she has overdone it, but she replies that it is okay because this girl is an ordinary commoner, and she was excluded from the middle class because it was her own fault. The young lady understands that all the household responsibilities were also placed on her, and now she almost cries, asking why everything is like this, because she didn't want to be Elena. The girl was demoted from a middle-class priest to a lower class, and then she experienced all sorts of difficulties. The priests of the upper and middle class under the Pope are considered nobles, and all who belong to the lower class. They were commoners, but the girl then thinks, what about an ordinary orphan from the common people? She was able to become a middle-class priest. At this time, someone approaches the young lady, after which he says that he searched her all over, the girl, then intends to get up, but the man says that she shouldn't get up. She then points to one of the priests and claims that her power will be needed there. The guy then asks for forgiveness and shows his leg. The young lady also apologizes and says that her hands are still wet, after which she examines the wound, and when she presses, the guy claims that it hurts there. The young lady then wonders why they needed the help of a low-ranking priest. But since this is an order, nothing can be done. And the girl thinks, where has it ever been seen that a commoner touched the body of a nobleman? The guy, when he looks at the young lady, is a little surprised, and the girl thinks that healing is not within the power of commoners. And all this thanks to the divine power, after which the girl heals the guy's leg. The priest asks him if everything is okay, to which he replies that yes, and that lump has disappeared. The main character says that you shouldn't swing your leg like that, but the guy doesn't listen to her, and after a few movements, he stops altogether, and he also claims that he seems to have twisted his ankle again. The girl understands that earlier it seemed to her that the village would help her, but she turned out to be too weak, the priest at this time claims. That he did not expect anything else from the power of the sinner, and let her be grateful that he cannot take away her blessing. The young lady then thinks that he himself could have examined his student, and why was it necessary to make her look like an idiot? Elena asks for forgiveness at this point and leaves, and also understands that she can't do this anymore. A little while later, the girl throws the bucket and wonders how much longer she can go on, and also whether she really has to live like this her whole life. But the lady understands that she won't leave it like that. Well, the family isn't waiting for this girl at home, and I have nothing to live on. All Elena has is the pendant she was wearing from the start. She thinks she could make a lot of money from it, but she can't do that. For some reason, it seems very important to her. The girl also thinks what this necklace meant to Elena, after which she claims that it's time for her to stop thinking about all sorts of nonsense. She needs to finish cleaning. Well then, the lady suddenly hears someone's voice, and looking in his direction, thinks if anyone uses this room, after which the girl comes closer, and one of the priests asks what this all means. After all, he does not understand His Majesty's thoughts at all. The other answers that he agrees, and for whom does he take them? After all, this is unacceptable, because how could he find a new teacher for this picky Duke Levi? The main character realizes that if she remembers correctly, it was Rosaline who became his teacher in the novel, after which the girl thinks that she has an idea, and Rosalind became Duke Levi's teacher. A year after the incident, that is now. At this time, one of them asks, what about the priest, Genevieve? Well, his colleague replies that he is retired, even though he was offered a large sum for it. At this time, the main character thinks that according to the plot, the priests were soon fired. And maybe if she becomes a teacher, then everything will change, after which the girl enters this room. One of the men asks who she is, after which the young lady apologizes for interrupting their conversation and claims that she is Elena, and also a priestess of the lower class. The girl is sure that if she gets to the Imperial Palace, all this suffering will end. A little while later, the maid claims that this room was allocated especially for the lady, and the girl understands that in terms of luxury, the Imperial Palace is at an unattainable level. The rooms in the temple are beyond compare, and the young lady wonders if she could possibly get in there. Elena claims that it seems her things were left downstairs, after which the maid claims that she will bring them right away. Well, the young lady replies that there is no need, because she will go herself, after which the maid is surprised and wonders if there are really things there that she is not allowed to touch. Elena replies that, no, and why should she run back and forth? But the girl claims that this is her job, after which the main character becomes embarrassed, but understands that the main thing is to remain calm, because she has never been treated like that. The maid at this time says that, as expected, the followers of Mr. Rahan's teachings are completely different, because they even worry about commoners. Elena says that yes, status is not the most important thing, after which the maid says that the lady is so beautiful. The maid also claims that she will go get things, so let the lady rest. The main character then wants to say something else, but she understands that the maid has already left and so quickly. But in any case, she is glad that everything turned out this way. After all, being a commoner is terrible. A little while later, the girl goes out onto the balcony and realizes that even the air in the palace is completely different, and she will never return to the temple and will survive there no matter what. A month ago, she apologized for interrupting the conversation and introduced herself. One of the priests claimed that it was the first time he saw the girl. The main character wonders if they are serious, and it was they who accused her in the past, although it is for the best, because she will no longer have to stay there. The girl claims that she thinks about her remembering what happened at the purification ceremony last year. It was she who spilled the wine, and for this, she was demoted to the lowest rank of the sacred. One of the men says that it was her, and the girl was a commoner, but thanks to her healing abilities, she was able to become the holiest of the middle class. Elena replies that everything is correct, after which the man asks if she was the holiest of the middle class, and if everything is fine with the documentation, then she will have no problem getting into the Imperial Palace. Elena understands that this man among the cardinals is the highest nobleman and number 2 in the Rahan Church, and his name is Cardinal Geoffrey. The man claims that he thinks Duke Levi will not refuse the girl, and this will be her opportunity to atone for her sin. This is how the young lady got into the Imperial Palace, but it was not so easy because she had to learn etiquette. Now, the young lady understands that she can no longer tolerate such treatment, so she should stop clinging to this place. The maid at this time informs the mistress that she has brought her things, after which the main character says that it is good and let her bring them in. The lady with the blonde hair claims that she heard that there will be another teacher, and the maid asks if she is talking about Baron Francis's daughter, because she will arrive this evening. The main character then realizes that Rosalind will really be there, and also that she will really be able to see her, which is why the girl thought that this was the best day. But she also understands that it is too early to relax, because she must use all her knowledge to stay there. And first of all, she should be concerned about Duke Levi, the emperor's only brother, and the owner of the Palace of Dawn. He kicked out his priest teacher after a few days, and refused to teach theology, and interfered with the lessons. Earth, I alone am worthy of everything, describe it well. None of the teachers stayed long until Rosalind was assigned the job. Then the boy began to slowly open his heart. However, later, there was an assassination attempt on him, and then the Duke began to fear swords. And this became a big problem. The blonde lady then claimed that the guy needed to face his fears to overcome them, and suggested going outside together. The young man then claimed that he was not ready yet. The problem was that he was facing the emperor himself, and even his own brother made him afraid. Because of this, the relationship between Rosalind and Duke Levi deteriorated, even worse with the emperor. Then Rosalind became closer to His Majesty. But unlike the novel, Elena became Duke Levi's teacher, and the girl wonders if this will change anything. Well, there is no point in her pressuring the Duke. After all, even if this happens, it will still be good, because the main character is Rosalind, and she is only a secondary character. So her life must be accordingly. But then the young lady looks around and wonders where she is now. The girl understands that she was just walking wherever her eyes looked, but she didn't think that she would go so far. And she also understands that it will take her a long time to get to the palace. The lady then sits down and states that she has no important business today, so she can rest. But at that very moment, she hears someone screaming to get everyone's attention. The girl is then surprised and wonders what is going on there, and who the servants are meeting there. Looking at the clothes, the girl understands that this man is apparently from the upper class. But then she looks closer and wonders if this is really the emperor. The girl also thinks that he can meet the main character in such a place. After all, he is the main male character in the novel. He was kind and polite to Rosalind, but at the beginning of his reign, he was considered a real monster who conquered 3 states neighboring the Iperan Empire. The girl now understands that he is a real war hero, and maybe it's good that she didn't become the main character because he really is a terrible person. But the young lady also doesn't think that they will meet him again because she is a secondary character and no one even knows her name. A little while later, someone turns to His Majesty and claims that he was waiting for him. The emperor then asks Maynard if he has any news, to which the guy replies that Marquis Werner has arrived to discuss some issues with him. The man then asks if Rainier has arrived, to which the knight replies that yes, he is waiting for His Majesty in the living room on the 2nd floor. The butler asks if he should make some tea, but the brunette replies no, and instead, let him bring them a drink. The butler then asks if he should bring alcohol, and also dejects himself and claims that he understood His Majesty. The knight then turns to the master and asks if he should really drink such a strong drink right after dinner. But the man says there is no need to worry so much, because he will not fall into eternal sleep from a few glasses. After which he goes into the Marquis's room, and he claims that he has been waiting for His Majesty for a long time, but he already thought that he had lost his head there. He also greets His Majesty, but the brunette passes by him and asks what the guy wanted to talk about. The blonde then asks if this is how one greets a cousin after a long separation, after which he claims that he wanted to talk about the meeting of aristocrats. The emperor asks what the matter is, after which the guy claims that they were all very patriotic. This time, they were concerned about his personal life, and they were wondering when His Majesty would find himself an empress. The brunette says what nonsense this is, after which he claims that the guy can go, but he is only interested in whether his interlocutor thinks that it is time to think about this, because it would help resolve many conflicts. There are rumors about them that they are lovers, and this is problematic. The emperor then says that the blonde man is also from the Imperial family, which means this question is relevant to him too. But the Marquise then wonders if he really doesn't care about these rumors. After which, he claims that he is only His Majesty's cousin, and his love is too much to waste on one girl. He also heard that today, His Majesty was training with the captain of the night squad, after which he asks how he is too, which the brunette answers that it is as usual. At this time, the butler understands that the war lasted for 3 years, the purpose of which was to strengthen the unstable position of the empire. It ended 5 years ago, and although they strengthened their place, but because of this, His Majesty completely stopped caring about himself, and it seems to him that, Lord, we can find a person to whom he can open his heart. At this time, the man turns to the butler and asks if he has already found a new teacher, to which he replies that yes, and they should arrive today. This is Baron Francis's daughter, recommended by Countess Bloomberg. She will be in charge of general education, and theology will be taught by a priestess sent from the Temple of Rahan. The blonde then asks if they have already found teachers for the little one, and he thought that no one else would come to him. The butler then asks His Majesty if he wants to meet the new teachers. The main character at this time remembers how the priest said that no one would think that a middle-class priest was a commoner, so she should not do anything suspicious. And then everything will be fine. And he also stated that you can't put a cup of tea like that, after which he screamed for her to repeat. Now the young lady is waking up from this nightmare, and she thinks, what is this? After all, she suffered so much before arriving there, not in order to then see this man in nightmares, but she really wanted to at least get some normal sleep there. Although compared to working in the temple, it was just a piece of cake. Well, when the main character looks out the window, she sees a carriage and thinks that it has a coat of arms with a lily on the shield, and it belongs to the Bloomberg family. The girl understands that when the carriage arrived at the Palace of Dawn, Rosalind got out of it and exclaimed in surprise, "What a beautiful garden there is!" So now the young lady understands that this is the appearance of the heroine as at the beginning of the novel. She has a smooth nose and round eyes. As befits the main character, she is incredibly beautiful, At this time, the blonde turns to the young lady and apologizes, and also asks who she is. The girl understands that she was so engrossed in looking at her that she completely forgot herself, after which she realizes that she just needs to calm down and do what she was taught. And then the girl introduces herself and claims that she will teach Duke Levi theology. The blonde then also introduces herself and claims that she is responsible for Duke Levi's general education. Elena understands that, of course, she knows this girl well, because she even has such a cute voice. After which the young lady says that, yes, it is nice to meet her too. Rosalind then asks the girl where she is from. Elena replies that she came from the temple, but the blonde claims that this is not what she meant. But when she is about to say something else, someone turns to Miss Francis and claims that he has taken out all the things, so he offers to go to her room. The girl then says that she needs to go and suggests talking next time, to which the main character agrees, but wonders if she really came to the palace and even be able to work with the main character. If everything continues like this, will they be able to become friends? At the beginning of the novel, the name of the young lady was not revealed because she was only a secondary character, and leaving the temple was a good idea. So it seemed to her. But a little while later, the lady with the blonde hair claims that she thought she imagined it. But now she is sure that the girl is an ordinary commoner. Elena wonders what is going on there. 30 minutes ago, in the living room of the palace, the lady with the blonde hair said that this tea has a sweet aroma mixed with basilisk. She also asked if this was the lady's favorite tea, to which the main character, a little excited, replied that yes, and it had a pleasant aroma. Elena realizes that she is staring at her again, but even the main character's distrustful face looks cute. At this time, the blonde tells the priestess that she is interested in something, and the young lady asks what it is. After which, the girl claims that yesterday, she was not able to really ask her, but from what family is the Lady Elena? After this, the main character becomes a little depressed and realizes that she asked this yesterday too. After which, she wonders if the lady is really that interested. Elena thinks that she certainly understood that one day she would have to answer this question. And the blonde at this time says that the two of them will train the Duke. So isn't it natural to get to know each other better? Elena wonders what kind of pressure this is. And the blonde claims that then she will begin, and claims that the Baron's family is located in the southwestern part of the empire. She is his eldest daughter. After which Rosalind says it is now the lady's turn, Elena. The lady with the blonde hair then claims that, as she already said, she is the most sacred of the middle class who came from the temple, and it is a great honor for her to meet Miss Francis. The girl realizes that she has heard that status plays a big role among priests, but she is also a priestess, so let the lady just listen to her. Rosalind at this time claims that it seems she has begun to understand, and the main character wonders if she really succeeded, after which the blonde claims that at first she was worried that she would be there alone. That's why she was delighted by the news that they were the same age. Elena replies that she is also happy to work with Miss Rosalind. And after this, the blonde says that only a priest should be from an honorable family. And who does she see now? It's a commoner who isn't even trained in etiquette. Elena is surprised by this and understands that her interlocutor feels hostility in her words, and she doesn't even try to hide her hostility. But the girl thinks, why this is so... After which, his cup keeps slipping out of the young lady's hands and breaking Rosaline, then gets up from her seat and says, what kind of outrage is this? After all, she thought that she imagined it, but now she is sure that the girl is an ordinary commoner. She was immediately embarrassed by the position of the cup in the young lady's hand, so she couldn't even look at it, and let the girl pick up the broken cup from the town hall herself. She is a commoner. Elena understands that. As soon as the blonde learned about her origin, her attitude towards her immediately changed, and the girl wonders if Rosaline was like that in the novel. Well, if you remember the plot, the story was told from the main character's point of view, and nothing was said about commoners. But the girl's house was suddenly entered by aristocrats only in words. They couldn't even pay the tax for their lands, and the main character wonders if that's why she hates commoners. Rosalind at this time claims that she is against this and asks if a commoner can teach a duke. The main character thinks that if everyone finds out about this, it will be very bad, after which she immediately grabs the lady with blonde hair by the hand, and she asks not to do this, but Rosalind only says that this abomination should let her go. The young lady then asks the lady not to do this, because she will do whatever she asks. The girl also understands that she cannot go back to the temple. At this time, the blonde asks if she will do anything, to which she replies that yes, and she will do everything in her power, after which Rosalind says that fine. And since the girl is ready to go that far, she will close her eyes to it. But there is one problem. After all this is their relationship as a boss and a subordinate. In order to hide her origin, she needs to communicate with the girl as an equal. But she won't tolerate this, and the main character wonders if this means that now she will have to serve Rosalind. Elena claims that then she can help with cleaning and everything else. The blonde then says that the girl is a quick learner and that she shouldn't forget about washing and sewing. Elena replies that she understood, after which the blonde says that she was sent away, and they will have mutually beneficial cooperation. Elena thinks that, although this is better than working in the temple, but still. At this time, the maid knocks on the door and asks for forgiveness, after which he announces that the Duke has arrived. The blonde then whispers to the girl to stop sitting and stand up. The young lady realizes that she is acting as if nothing happened, but she still won't say that she acted so arrogantly recently. And now the girl understands what kind of person Rosalind was, because now she will have to serve her. The young lady also thinks it is normal that a person with such a character will find happiness. And did the book's heroes know her true character? The girl also wonders if this is connected with their tense relationship with Duke Levi. At this moment, someone tells the girl to get out of the way. It turns out to be the Duke. He asks if the lady doesn't hear, because he told her to leave, after which everyone wonders if the girl really wants to disobey him. After this, the main character wonders if this cute boy is really the Duke of Levi. The guy then asks again if she wants him, but if she obeys, she will step on the shards. The young lady looks down at her feet and realizes that she really did almost cut herself. At this time, the blonde asks what she would do if she got hurt, after which the young lady asks her to forgive her. When the maid finishes cleaning, the boy says that if she is finished, she can go. He also addresses Elena, asking how long she plans to stand there, answers that she will sit down right now. The girl sits down next to the main character and understands that this boy doesn't mince words. After which she looks at the lady sitting next to her and realizes that she quickly got into character. The guy then turns to the two and asks if they are his new teachers. The young lady looking at him understands that she doesn't want to admit it, but he is too cute. After which the guy says that it is clear, and let them try and turns away. The main character looking at him thinks that maybe the guy wants to eat cake, but he tries to seem like an adult, but in reality he is such a child. Well, when the guy is already reaching for the cake, the blonde turns to him and says that if the gentleman doesn't mind, then maybe they can discuss the lesson plan. She heard that he was taught mathematics, history, and theology, and such a passion for learning makes her admire him. But to assess his level of knowledge, does he mind if? But the guy then says that it is not necessary, after which the main character is surprised, and the young lady is also surprised, and the guy claims that they will do such things themselves. In the past, teachers had to leave a class diary. Rosalind then says that she understood the gentleman, and Elena understands that the boy immediately put the main character in his place, after which the guy also turns to Elena, asks what about her, and does she also want to test his knowledge before the lesson? The girl then only suggests eating something sweet while the tea is still warm, and then continuing their conversation. The girl claims that one should not delay eating food that contains the blessings of Mr. Rahan, after which the blonde says that this is not a bad idea and asks how the girl is going to teach him. Elena replies that she will not say that she has a clear plan, because theology is based on understanding the teachings of the great Rahan. So instead of memorizing it, she suggests reading and discussing sacred letters. And the girl wonders what the Duke thinks about this. The blonde watching this wonders if the girl really thinks that everything is so simple. But the Duke then agrees and also says that it sounds good, so they will do it. Rosaline watches the young lady only to get angry, and a little while later, she gives her a list of books. She claims that the girl should take these books from the library, but the young lady asks why so soon. Rosalind asks the girl if she didn't promise to help her, but Elna says there are so many of them. The blonde claims that she will be busy preparing for classes, so she won't have time for it. Elena thinks that this girl just arrived and is already giving orders and wondering if this is really some kind of revenge. After this, the blonde says that the girl is not going to refuse her because she doesn't even need to make a lesson plan. And if she understood, then let her go and bring all these books right now. A little while later, the girl is already heading in a carriage. Then she goes out and hopes that she will quickly find all these books. So the young lady thought, but this library, it turned out to be more than she thought. And Elena understands that she will sooner plunge into eternal sleep than find all these books. Then the young lady also turns to one of the workers and says that she needs help. The guy claims that she probably had a hard time, and if the lady tells him the name of the book, he will tell her where to find the book, after which the main character thanks him. And the guy tells her to wait there, and the young lady understands that she will at least be able to catch her breath. The girl also understands that Rosalind did meet one of the main male characters in the library, but she doesn't remember with whom exactly. At this time, a library worker approaches the lady. He apologizes for keeping her waiting, but says that it says where to find the books, after which the main character thanks him. However, the guy claims that all the carts are currently occupied, so she will have to carry them herself. Elena sighs after this and thinks that everything couldn't have been so simple, but she just needs to carry them to the carriage. After which, the girl begins to collect books. But when she approaches the next one, she understands that it is too high and will be difficult to reach, but the main character still does not give up and tries to reach it. At this time, someone else approaches the young lady and asks if he can help her. The girl replies that she can if it is not too much trouble. Well, when he turns around, he realizes that this man has a knight's sign with the coat of arms of the Empire. But at this time, only one knight could come to the library. He has brown hair and green eyes, after which the girl does not keep her balance at all. While the guy picks her up and asks if the girl is okay, Elena understands that this is Lord Maynard Errands. A little while later, the young lady heads to the carriage and says that the gentleman should not have helped her like that. The guy then asks the lady what she is talking about, because it is an honor for him to help the lady. Elena understands that he shines so much that she can't even look at him because it's too bright. And the girl wonders how she ended up in the same carriage with one of the main characters. An hour ago, the guy grabbed her and asked if the girl was okay, after which she only became embarrassed. And she addressed him as Maynard, but then realized that it was his name and addressed him more formally, and also said that his hand, after which he himself became embarrassed and also asked for his forgiveness. It just seemed to him that the book might fall. The girl answered that everything was fine, after which the guy asked how she knew him, since the girl called him by name. Elena claimed that she had simply heard a lot about him since the Lord was so popular. The guy then asked if it was true about the young lady, who thought that it seemed like he didn't realize the extent of his popularity. She also claims that she remembered his name. The guy then picks up the book from the floor and says that it is clear. Well, it's a little embarrassing, and to be honest, he was also looking at the young lady, then asks what he's talking about. And he wonders if Maynard was looking at her, but the girl wonders why. After which the young man says that she was just running around the library so briskly. Elena understands that she is just a supporting character, and the guy then turns to the lady, and he says that if she doesn't mind, they can look for her books together. The young lady thanks him for his concern, but claims that she has already found everything. After which, the guy says that it only remains to carry them to the carriage, to which the girl replies that everything is correct. And the guy picks up one stack of books and also states that he will do it then. The young lady then turns to him worriedly, but the young man insists that everything is fine because it is time for him to return. He also tells the girl to give the book from her hands. Well, she answers that, no, and she herself will carry her. After which, the young lady heads to the carriage and thinks why this guy is so kind. The young man turns to their mistress with some surprise, and the note screams, asking her not to follow her. And the knight wonders how he will then carry the books, and the lady is a funny person. The girl also realizes that the carriage she was supposed to return in has somehow disappeared. So the knight helped her out for the second time, so the girl wonders if it's okay for her to be involved in the plot events. And she also goes with Maynard. The girl understands that the sword of the Empire, as well as the great lord of the South, who is Count Arnis, as soon as his eldest son came of age, he was given an order to wage a war of conquest, that he must take upon himself all the balls and arrows directed against his majesty. The guy fulfilled it and was able to return alive. Also, he is not such a kind and gentle person as it may seem. At this point, the young man with a smile on his face asks if there is something on his face, and the girl replies that there is not. After which the guy also asks the lady if she is going to read all these books because it will not be easy. Elena replies that they are not for her, and that they are for classes with Duke Levi. After which the guy asks the lady if she is really the new teacher. The girl replies that everything is not so cool because she is only responsible for theology. But the guy says that she is still a teacher, after which the young lady smiles. But then the girl suddenly sees a wound on the guy's finger and pays attention to it. The knight says that he must have hurt his hand when he was getting the books. But the young lady at the same time thinks that such beautiful hands need to be protected, and it is all her fault. After which she tells him to give it to her, and he asks what she is talking about because everything is fine. When the young lady looks at him resolutely, he finally offers his hand. After which the girl begins to use healing magic and claims that this is the only thing she can help with. But the knight claims that the girl surprised him because he thought that only the high priesthood had healing powers. Elena replies that everything is not so simple and that she can heal such a small wound. The girl understands that she has only just healed the wound, but her head already hurts, after which the guy asks if she is okay. A little while later, they are already driving up to the Duke's mansion, and the knight claims that he could have brought the books. But the girl replies that it is not necessary because everything is fine and she will call the servants. She also tells the lord to take care of himself well when the girl is about to leave. The guy apologizes, but he asks if the lady could tell him her name. The girl then turns around and asks what he is talking about, and the guy claims that he might need her healing skills again. The young lady then says that her name is Elena, and the young man with a smile on his face offered to the lady Elena meet again. The girl understands that even though they crossed paths by chance, Maynard is the main character. She is a secondary character, so the girl wonders if they will meet again. A little while later, the young lady thinks that then he will definitely meet Rosaline. If she hasn't been fired by then, of course. The young lady realizes that today was supposed to be her first lesson with the Duke, but he still didn't come, and the girl wonders if he really decided to boycott her. But this will become a problem. Elena understands that the more she thinks about it, the more it hurts her pride, and he had a lesson with Rosalind 2 hours ago. But he skips her classes, and it seems he is only interested in the main character, although he liked the idea of the cake. At this time, the maid approaches the mistress, and she says she has messages for her. It turns out to be Duke Levi's nanny named Elia. The main character then asks what has already happened, after which the woman claims that the Duke has a severe headache and will not be able to attend the lesson. Elena says that's how it is, but she understands that she thought so. After which the girl claims that she is so worried about the gentleman, and he asks if they can go and visit him, after which the woman says that it's not worth it. After all, he really is in a very bad way. The main character understands that he is clearly pretending, after which he rises from his seat and says that it is good, and also then they will postpone today's classes for the next time. The woman asks for forgiveness and tells the lady to be careful on the way home. Elena thinks what she should do if he doesn't come tomorrow. Well, then the young lady understands that she will still receive her salary, and it turns out that this is free money, after which she thinks that it will do. A few days later, the Duke once again did not show up. And the main character thinks what a problem child this is. But in this situation, she only feels sorry for Elia. The maid comes to the master every day, but he insists that he will not go. But the young lady thinks that, recalling the novel, she can understand it. The previous priests used some Spartan methods, and the young lady wonders whether it was worth torturing the poor child like that, because for such a sensitive child, it was probably too much. The maid thinks that the poor lady has been waiting for her master for so many days, and she hopes that he will finally come to his senses. But the main character at this time thinks that, okay, and let him pass. A little while later, the maid comes to the master, and he says that the lady priest came to him today too. The guy says that she is persistent, and he thought that she had long since disappeared without a trace. After which, the nanny turns to the gentleman and also asks when he is going to attend classes, but the boy claims that he will not go there. The guy closes his book and tells the nanny to listen, because all these holy scriptures are written in some incomprehensible language, and he must ask questions to understand everything. But all his past teachers, they just looked at him like he was a fool, and the guy wondered what he would learn from those who didn't even want to teach him. After all, it's just a waste of time. But the maid says that if the gentleman doesn't attend classes, he might get a severe scolding. The guy then asks who will scold him to, which the woman replies the emperor. But the young man just turns around and says that he doesn't have time for this, after which the nanny tells the gentleman that everything is wrong, and he is afraid of his majesty. The guy also remembers all the rumors that are going around about him, and one of the maids asked if the duke was always in the palace, and the other answered that nothing could be done since he could not even meet with his majesty. He can't leave the palace, and what a poor thing he is. That's why now the boy just screams for the nanny to leave him alone, and he wonders if she dares to contradict him. The duke also says that he is hungry, so let her bring him a cake. When a woman wants to object, the guy just yells at her to keep quiet, and she didn't tell him, after which the nanny leaves, and when she walks down the corridor, she hears one of the maids asking if she heard anything, the lighting, and she sat alone again. And it seems that the gentleman didn't like her, after which the nanny interrupts them and tells the girls to bring the duke a cake. They immediately agree, and the woman understands that the duke is not the only one to blame for this. He survived being put into eternal sleep by his parents as a child, and then an assassination attempt. But she still asks the duke not to forget that his majesty always thinks about him. A little while later, someone turns to the lady. Helen says that she has guests. The young lady asks, "Who is there?" Well then, someone asks if she is the duke's teacher of theology. The girl replies that yes, after which she looks at his clothes and wonders if he really came from the temple. At this time, the man tells the girl to get dressed right now, because His Holiness is waiting her, and the young lady thinks that the Holy Father has come, and that she is already being fired. The Holy Father of the Rahan Church, the only one on the entire continent, it preaches the main religion. So the girl wonders why such an important person would want to meet with her, and she was so surprised that she immediately ran to get ready. The girl also understands that the situation is clearly not good, but she thinks that it seems that rumors about her difficulties have reached the temple. Firstly, they immediately found out about her origin, and secondly, they don't even attend her classes. So the young lady wonders if everything will be okay. At this point, the young lady's interlocutor states that they will soon arrive at the Imperial temple, so let the girl show respect to His Holiness. When she meets him, agrees to something, but thinks maybe she should run away right now. A little while later, the young lady is already in the temple and thinks that he looks the part. At this time, the cardinal cries out what the girl is allowing herself to do, since His Holiness is in front of her. Well then, the other man tells Geoffrey not to be so strict, because he has said this more than once, but he is always so rude. The guy claims that he will take this into account, and the main character realizes that she did not think that the cardinal could be so obedient, after which the girl wonders if this is the Holy Father. The man at this time asks if the young lady's name is Elena, and he were waiting for her. The main character then says that he is the prophet of the great Rahan, and the man suggests that she not be shy and come closer. Elena understands that despite his situation, he seems quite kind. While the girl still doesn't understand why he needed her, the man then claims that he heard Elena has healing magic. Well, the young lady replies that her strength is not that impressive, after which the priest claims that, to be honest, he recently hurt his hand while leafing through a book, and he asks the girl if she could heal her. Elena asks if he wants her to heal his hand, to which he replies yes, and asks if it is difficult for a lady. The girl then thinks about what to do, and whether she will be able to heal his hand. But she has tried more than once to heal her hands, which have become rough from hard work. Well, she never succeeded, so she asks her father to forgive her, because she is afraid that this is too much for her. The girl thinks, how can she help him if she can't cure herself? But the man then notices that the young lady's hand is also early, so let her show him. The girl does so, after which the man tells her to watch carefully and use her powers. The young lady then looks at her hands and is shocked because they have become so clean, and it is as if she has received new hands. Elena asks why he doesn't heal his wound himself, and the man claims that this is the teaching of the great Rahan. You can't heal your own wounds with holy power, because after all, a person can't live without the help of others. The main character thinks that this is it, as it was not about her strength. After all, even if she is not so strong, she is still useful. The high priest at this time turns to Helen and asks if she could heal his hand, to which the girl agrees, and states that she will try. Elena thinks that if there is even a small chance, she is ready to put all her efforts into it, after which she takes His Holiness' hand. The man understands that he heard she only recently developed her abilities. Well, this girl is really amazing. When the young lady finishes, the man thanks her and claims that the great Rahan has blessed her with great power. The main character then says that she should thank His Holiness for the explanation. She also thinks that otherwise she would have to reproach herself for her strength for a long time. The man then claims that he is always there so that the lady can come occasionally and practice using her powers. But Elena claims that the Duke still does not attend her theology classes, and if this continues, she may be fired, after which the man only smiles and says that the lady should try to show him her pure intentions, because perhaps this will change his perception. Let the lady also not be discouraged and try to do everything possible. The girl understands that for the first time, someone believes in her, and before everyone treated her terribly, after which the girl understands that she simply has to live up to his expectations. And he says he will try when the young lady leaves. The priest asks what Geoffrey will say about her. The cardinal says that she is a girl like any other, but the high priest asks if he really thinks so. The man claims that he has nothing more to add now, and the high priest claims that he did say that the girl was an orphan. So let him find out more about her, because for some reason she interested him. A short time later, the butler asks the lady if the Duke is still skipping his theology classes, to which she replies that unfortunately he is a— But the man claims that the main character understands this problem, that if the chamberlain doesn't like it, then this holy commoner will definitely be kicked out, and it was unpleasant to watch her rest there, so it's for the best. The man then asks Miss Frances if she really just left it that way. After all, the diary says nothing about any measures being taken on her part, and she is responsible for the general education of the Duke. The girl then thinks what is wrong with the butler and what she did. The man says that in this case, he is forced to reprimand her, but the girl claims that there were no problems with the other items, and he attended her classes with great zeal. But after that, the man only says that it is enough, and he also understood the situation, and with this, the lady can be free. The blonde thinks how dare he treat her like that, and how did he even have the courage to do this? After all, no one had ever hated her. Everyone always wanted to be closer to her. At this time, the butler turns to Lady Frances, and the girl turns to him and also thinks that it's true because they can't treat her like that. But the man only asks the lady not to call him by his name anymore, and also not to forget about their situation. Rosalind claims that she will be careful about addressing him by his last name after that. And when the man closes the door, the young lady understands that it is all the fault of that holy woman, because how could she come there as a commoner? And how dare she humiliate her like that? At this time, the blonde man sits with the emperor and asks if the Duke continues to refuse to study, but he even feels sorry for this teacher, and he would like to take a look at her once. At this time, the knight says that he did see her, and the blonde asks how it all went. The guy replies that she is very cute, and also so small. After which, the blonde asks if that is all. After all, if so, according to the description, the girl looks like a rabbit. The knight says that there really is a resemblance. He also remembers the young lady's hands and realizes that they are also small. The Marquis wonders if Maynard is showing interest in the girl. And this is already interesting, after which he turns to His Majesty and asks what he is going to do with this most sacred thing. The man replies that he will observe for now, but if the Duke continues to skip classes, then he'll have to find a new teacher. Then the brunette gets up from his seat and says that it's time for him to go to training, so he'll go. The Marquis says that he doesn't miss a day, and that's amazing. After which, she asks if he is tired of doing the same thing every day. But the man says that it doesn't matter, and understands that maybe for someone it's boring, but he can't think about anything else. At this time, the main character goes with a basket of laundry and says how much she needs to wash. The girl also asks if there was a meeting with the chamberlain today. 30 minutes ago, the blonde burst into her room, after which she told the girl to wash it right away and not even think about refusing. The main character understands that she doesn't know what happened there, but it's clearly something serious. After which, she thinks that the girl simply decided to take out all her anger on her, but it doesn't look like she was being bullied. The young lady thinks she needs to find some place to hide, and it's probably strange that a middle-class priest does her own laundry. But when the young lady goes further, she sees someone and wonders what the person is doing there. This guy has always moved forward and doesn't think about rest and boredom at all, and maybe that's why he was able to achieve such results. The guy doesn't know what else to do and just spends his days aimlessly. after which he hits the stone again, causing the sword to break. And at that very moment, the man hears someone scream. He turns around and asks who is there, after which the young lady apologizes, and she says that she almost fell into eternal sleep. The girl claims that such training is very dangerous, after which he approaches the brunette and asks if he wants to say anything to the man who was almost put into eternal sleep. The brunette then asks who she is, and the young lady replies that she is the most sacred of the middle class, and her name is Elena. The girl then thinks what is wrong with him and whether he is too rude to the man whom he almost took the life of. The guy at this time asks how she got there, and if she knows what kind of place it is, after which the young lady claims that she was just going to wash her clothes and wonders where they are. The guy claims that they are in the inner garden, and the young lady wonders if this is where the members of the Imperial family live. The girl also screams that she thought that there was no one there. But what if the ruthless emperor finds out about this? They will definitely be beheaded. At this time, the merciless emperor is in front of her, who is insulted in the face. But the young lady only asks what to do, because she thought it was the Palace of Dawn. The brunette asks if she is from there, to which the young lady replies that yes, and she teaches there. The man realizes that if she is a middle-class teacher and priest from the Palace of Dawn, then she must be Elena. After which the guy asks if she teaches theology to the Duke, to which the girl replies that yes. Well, she wants to ask how he knows. However, when she looks at his hands, she realizes that they are wounded, or wonders if he has hurt his hand. The man replies that everything is fine, and there is nothing serious there, and the young lady understands that, even though he was just training, he has so many scars on his arms. He is not wearing a knight's uniform, so he may be a student, after which the girl tells him to give her his hand. The brunette asks what she is doing, but the young lady thinks that even though she is annoying, she cannot break the promises made to His Holiness. Therefore the girl asks not to worry and begins to use holy power. The emperor, looking at the young lady, wonders if this is a holy power, like that of his high priesthood. At this point, the girl sighs and says that she is finished, and then sits down on the stone. The brunette asks if she's just going to sit there, to which the girl replies that she used up all her strength while treating him, and now she doesn't even know when she can return to the palace. The brunette at this time sits down next to the young lady, and he says that he heard the Duke refuses to take classes. Elena asks if the rumors have already reached there, but then she will definitely be fired. The brunette then asks if she really doesn't know what the Duke has been doing all this time, to which the girl replies that she only heard rumors that he was hooked on cakes again, and that he should eat better. Although he was not deprived of height, and even the doctor in the palace praised him. The emperor at this time thinks that since then, he has already grown a lot, and more precisely this is true. Well, he wants to hear more. The young lady at this time looks at the emperor, and he asks what happened. Elena replies that he has such a thoughtful face, and the brunette asks if that is really the case, after which the girl says that you don't need to force yourself if something doesn't work out. After all, they are at the bottom of the social pyramid, so they can't neglect their health. The man then asks in shock where they are, and the young lady tells him not to be shy, because he is a knight's apprentice. At such a time, he's already on the palace grounds, and with such work you can't leave whenever you want. Since he was training with a ball, it means he is still in training. But no matter how you look at it, a real knight would not walk around in such simple clothes. The man then says that she is wrong, but then realizes that if you think about it, about his title at all, the girl then looks at the guy's face and asks if something really happened, after which he tells him to keep his chin up because he won't be a student all his life, but the guy says that's not true. The young lady then asks how his hand is, after which the brunette replies that everything is fine, and the girl asks if he wants to tell her anything, but he only asks what she is talking about. Elena replies that he should have said that he was fine, and that she had nothing else to worry about, after which she tells him to say it, and the guy thinks that this girl is so strange, because she herself went into the Imperial garden, and now she is also begging for a word of gratitude. But the emperor only smiles, and then thanks her. The young lady then says that she just needed someone to practice singing on, and then she turns to the man again and asks if he wants to make a deal. After all, she needs to train in using her power, so she asks if they could meet there once every 3 days. After all, she will train her magic on him, and he will always be healthy. The girl then asks how this is for him, and a good summer deal. After which, the brunette says that he doesn't get wounded that often, so he doesn't even know. The man also understands that potions are being made for him so that he does not need healing magic. But maybe he can learn something useful, so he claims that his dream is to become a knight of the Palace of Dawn. The young lady then asks if this is true, and the man claims that it would be great to guard the entrance to the Palace of Dawn. The whole Duke cannot leave it, and the knights are afraid. And in the future, the Duke will be able to choose a new one for himself, and he would like to serve there, so he asks if the girl could tell him about the Duke. The main character then extends her hand and says that they have an agreement. The man then presses her, and the girl claims that she would be glad to work with him, after which she picks up her dirty clothes and says that it's time for her to go. Well, then the young lady turns to the guy again, and he asks what it is. Elena claims that she doesn't even know his name and is wondering if he can tell her, after which the guy thinks how to say this, because if he says his real name, the girl will understand who he is, and if he says that he is the emperor, then everything will be the same, and in any case, he will not take on any problems. The girl at this time claims that she can't call him uncle all the time, and the man understands that there is of course one name, but he can't remember the last time he was called that, after which he tells the girl to call him Andre and simply Ray. The main character then gets ready to leave and says that they will meet Ray again, after which the emperor smiles and nods. A little while later, the girl sits at the table for study, but he understands that the Duke as always did not come. Today, even Mrs. Ilya is not there. The girl also thinks what she should do, because she promised Ray to tell him about the Duke. At this moment, someone runs into the room and screams at the lady, "Helen! What's with the Duke?" A fit occurred. The maids at this time try to help the Duke and the blonde, looking at him. She doesn't even know what to do. Earlier the girl was walking with the Duke and was saying how nice the weather was today, and the Duke would definitely feel better after the walk, but the guy claimed that he was not ready yet, after which the blonde claimed that it is better to face your fears face to face. Well, then the guy also saw His Majesty the Emperor, after which he had a seizure. The nanny then asked the gentleman to calm down, after which she screamed for the lady to be brought in, Helen Yuge. The main character runs out into the street a little while later and asks what happened there, and also why the Duke is in such a state. The blonde at this time tries to justify herself and claims that she simply thought he would feel better on a walk. Elena understands that from this day on, the relationship between Rosalind and Duke, Levi, will begin to deteriorate. At this time, the nanny turns to their mistress, Helen E., and asks her to help the Duke. The girl understands that, according to the plot, some time will pass before they call the Holy Father, but this situation will leave a long-lasting mark on the Duke. Therefore, the girl thinks whether she can replace the Holy Father. The young lady leans towards the boy and asserts that she will do her best, but she still thinks whether she can heal his mental trauma, after which she thinks that she needs to try. For the sake of this child, the guy begins to calm down after this and thinks why he feels so warm, and all the tension goes away. One of the maids claims that his facial response is back to normal, and the nanny turns to the lady and thanks her, but the girl claims that she did what she had to, and it's good that everything worked out. The maid then notices that the Lady Elena is not doing badly and asks what happened. The girl replies that everything is fine. She just felt a little dizzy. The lady realizes that she used too much magic. At this time, the young lady also says that it is better to take the Duke to a quieter place. Ilya replies that this is true and orders the maids to quickly carry the Duke to the palace, to which they agree. The main character, at this time, thinks that it is good that she was able to help him. Well, then, she hears the blonde say that if she had known the Duke was in trouble, this would not have happened, and even Mrs. Ilya did not stop. Her Elena thinks what she is saying, and are they really trying to shift the blame onto others? After which the girl says, Miss Rosalind, that she herself took the Duke out into the street, and he definitely said that he didn't want to go out. The blonde then asks if the girl really wants to say that it's all her fault, but the main character claims that her involvement cannot be denied. Elena understands that it's better not to argue with her, otherwise there will be a lot of problems later. But the blonde only asks what she just said, after which the young lady asks her to forgive her, and he also understands that she cannot allow her to escape responsibility for what she did. Rosalind only gets angry about this, and then says that they don't understand anything. And this is such impudence. The emperor is thinking at this time, who else to talk to about this? A little while later, he tells the knights to tell His Holiness that there is no need to rush, to which they agree. And the brunette claims that he was too inattentive and was simply pleased by the news that his brother went outside. But when the boy met him, he was very scared and even started screaming. The emperor immediately ordered that His Holiness be called immediately. But a little while later, someone reported that Madame had arrived Elena, and the man realizes that it is good that the priestess was called. At this time, someone informs His Majesty that they have sent a messenger to the palace to check on the Duke's conditions, and the man says that it's good, after which he thinks that his heart is beating so hard that he needs to rest. The emperor also remembers his old relationship with his brother and wonders if he will ever be able to see him smile. A little while later, the Duke asks if it was the priest who helped him and not the Holy Father, after which he also tells the nanny not to lie to him, but the woman claims that this is true because it is only her assumption. But he thinks that, thanks to her help, he has no consequences after the seizure. The guy realizes that this time he really feels better and wonders if this girl really saved him. The nanny at this time says that her heart aches from his indifference, after which the guy claims that he is hungry. So he goes to have lunch, after which the woman asks if it is really at such a time, to which he replies that yes, so they can go. Well, the nanny then says that he has theology classes now. The guy doesn't listen to her and moves on, after which the woman says that at least he feels better. A little while later, the young man walks down the corridor, and then they hear voices coming from the living room. The nanny then asks why children's voices are heard there, after which the Duke opens the door, and he sees the priestess surrounded by children. One of the boys says that he wants to hear her story again, and the main character asks if they really liked him so much. At this time, the Duke comes up to them and asks what kind of story it is. After all, if he is so interesting, then he also wants to hear it. The main character then thinks why the Duke is there. She also realizes that she simply told the story to the children working in the palace. When she saw them peeking from behind the door, she immediately remembered the children she spent time with in kindergarten in her past life. And the Duke always ignored her, so the girl wonders why he came today. The guy at this time asks why she is silent. The young lady claims that this is a story from the Holy Scriptures, but then wonders where everyone went. The kids are outside the door at this time and wish the lady luck. The guy says that now is his lesson time, to which the girl replies that everything is correct, after which the Duke asks why she then studied with them. After all, she is his teacher, so why is he shirking his work? To which the young lady replies that everything is not so, but thinks that he himself never came to her classes. After which, the main character looks at one book and thinks that maybe this will work. The young lady asks the gentleman if he knows about the stories passed down from generation to generation in the Rahan church. Long ago, a little brother and sister were almost eaten by a wolf. Impressed by the brother and sister's sincere desire, the great Rahan gave them a rope. The young lady then asks the boy how he likes it, and if the story is touching, but the boy claims that he does not remember it in the scriptures. Elena is a little nervous and claims that this story is passed down from mouth to mouth, and there are many stories in the teaching that are not written down in books. The young man then says that this is how it is, and asks if she will then tell him these stories in class. The young lady then agrees, claiming that the classes are in theology, after which the guy says that, since she is his teacher, she will teach them during the classes. But the girl asks if he didn't say that he wouldn't visit them, to which he replies that yes. However, you can listen to the person who saved him once, and they can be interesting. After which, the young man asks if he can, to which the young lady replies that she would be only glad. And the nanny, with tears in her eyes, thinks that the gentleman has finally arrived. At this time, the guy tells the girl to continue her story, and he wonders what happened next. Elena understands that she thought she would soon be kicked out of there, but it looks like a chance has appeared to get closer to the Duke. This is how she will be able to keep her promise to Ray. Meanwhile, in the Palace of the Sun, has gone too far with his cousin? Well, his interlocutor asks, which of them tried so hard not to lose that it all ended in a draw, and he became better at wielding a sword. The Marquis claims that His Majesty always says so, after which he applies a wet towel to his earlier one and claims that sometimes he simply needs persistence. But the brunette claims that in order not to go against one's own desires, one should be careful. At this time, the butler says that as His Majesty ordered, he brought them the potion. The blonde then says that finally, and also claims that His Majesty is so serious. after which he also drinks the potion, and says that, as always, these potions are simply incredible. After all the others don't compare, the blonde also says that His Majesty should drink too, but he replies that he will manage, after which the Marquise asks why, since they were made especially for him. The Emperor then states that he wants to make sure of something, and his interlocutor asks in what sense. The man replies that nothing special, after which he claims that the West is not calm at the moment. The blonde replies that he has heard about it, since Cane's taxes have doubled in other regions, and they seem to be buying grain from neighboring areas, especially in early spring when there is not enough of it. And in the north, where the main military forces are located, everyone is busy now. The blonde claims that he is keeping an eye on everything, so there is no need to worry so much, after which the brunette says that it is fine. But this year, everything may be delayed. At this time, the butler turns to His Majesty and claims that he has brought all the documents that need to be sorted out, and the class diary. The brunette then offers to see how his brother is doing, after which he asks what the butler will say about the teachers. The man then tells His Majesty that so far, he has only had the opportunity to communicate with the daughter of Baron Francis. She is smart and witty, and he thinks that her abilities are sufficient to teach the Duke. The Emperor says that this is noticeable in the handwriting, but he also understands that he has not seen any improvement in Levi's health. Now he is recommended more intensive treatment, after which the man remembers how the lady asked if they could meet there once every 3 days. And she will practice her magic on him, and he will always be healthy. The guy understands that today they must meet. You just have to be fearless to set foot on the Emperor's territory again. The main character is already there at this time. A little while later, she already turns to Ray and says that she is there, after which she says that he is on time. The guy claims that he always keeps his promises, and the young lady says that this makes her happy. After all, she likes people she can rely on. The girl also asks how long he will stand, after which he offers to sit down. Well, the man says that she really is fearless. Elena claims that if he sits so far away, she will not be able to cure him, and then suggests starting her story about the Duke. The brunette claims that it would be nice, and the young lady says that in truth, she and the Duke were never close. Previously, they had only met for food. The girl asked what his favorite dish was. She also claimed that she liked desserts, but meat was also delicious, so she would like to know his preferences. The girl understood that it was good that she could talk to him, not only during classes, because that way she had the opportunity to get to know him better. But after that, the Duke only asked why she needed this information, to which the girl replied that they saw each other every day. So it would be nice to get to know each other better and see if she would like to be friends with the gentleman. The young man was a little surprised by this and asked if the lady really wanted to become his friend. Elna replied that yes, that's why she wants to know more about the gentleman, what he likes and what makes him happy and what makes him sad. She wants to continue having fun with him. The maid at this time claims that she has brought more water, after which the young lady thanks him. And then he also turns to the gentleman and asks what he thinks about this. The guy then says that if she is so interested, then she can ask. And the young lady asks if it is true, and then let him answer her previous questions. And then the guy then only claimed that she should not speak with her mouth full. Now the young lady claims that the attack she was able to find out information about the Duke. So now he can ask anything and be interested in whether a man wants to know about his favorite food or his most memorable book. The brunette then asks how the girl sees Duke Levi, to which she replies that it will be difficult to answer right away. At first, the young lady thought that he was just a spoiled and selfish boy, but then I began to notice that his behavior was different from what was in the novel, and yet the story was written from Rosalind's point of view. Now the young lady claims that the Duke is a very strong child. He lost his parents early, and he can't even meet his only older brother. Due to his high status, he has no friends at all, and cannot even leave the palace due to illness. But the Duke does not give up, and continues to smile every day. And although he is young, he is very determined and considerate of other people's feelings. The Duke continues to grow and change, and apparently, industry as well as stubbornness is hereditary. The brunette then says that just like the young lady, she is a little embarrassed when she meets his gaze. The girl realizes that this is the first time she has seen a person with such a beautiful smile. At this time, the Emperor asks what she thinks and what is most important for the Duke now, after which the young lady is a little surprised. Well, he claims that children don't need anything special, because the main thing is to believe in him and show your love. That will be enough. The man then says that it is clear, and understands that this girl is different from the Baron's daughter, because none of Levi's teachers have ever told him anything like that. The girl at this time says that since there are no more questions, it is her turn and asks where he got hurt. The man answers that he got a little bit in the arm and tells the young lady that it is terrible because he also has a bruise. Elena claims that she will try to heal all his wounds, after which she begins to use her power. After which the young lady says that she is tired, and the brunette, looking at his hands, claims that this is incredible, and she did say that she is the most sacred of the middle class. But with such power, the road to higher things is open to her, which surprises the young lady, and she realizes that she is after all a commoner. People with healing powers are usually considered to be middle or upper class. Rahan's blessing is so rare, and the girl thinks what she should answer him. At this point, the brunette asks if he said something wrong, but the girl replies that no, and everything is fine. Elena understands that now they will see each other often, so it will be difficult to continue to hide her origin, and she doesn't want to lie to him. So the young lady thinks maybe she should tell him the truth. The main character asks if Ray is a nobleman, to which he replies that he is, and the girl asks him not to think too much, but since they made a deal, she will be honest with him. Just let him promise not to tell anyone what the guy is agreeing to. And then the young lady claims that she is a commoner, and also understands what she said after all. She felt uncomfortable being treated like a noblewoman, and found it unbearable to lie to them. But then the young lady looks at the brunette, and wonders if he really has zero reaction. The girl then turns to Ray, but he only asks why she can't move up to the upper class, to which he replies that the Empire has a very strict status system. Elena also realizes that his silence has made her nervous. The man at this time says that it would be better if people could advance regardless of their social status. But in the current empire, this will not happen. The girl replies that this is exactly how common people have to work constantly to feed themselves, and if they could get an education, then their abilities would begin to be valued, and then it would be easier to advance. Talented swordsmen like Lord Errands work in the fields because they lack funds, and a lot of incredibly smart people have to work in stables, so there are a lot of them in the country. The man at this time realizes that he thought this girl was strange, but she has interesting thoughts, and her opinion about Levi was also unusual, and the man thinks that maybe it is worth increasing the number of classes in theology. At this time, the girl says that the sun is already setting, and the brunette says that it's time for him to go. Then Elena thinks that it seems like he doesn't care about her origins, and the guy only claims that they will meet there in 3 days at the same time, after which he leaves, and the young lady thinks that although they didn't really talk for some reason, she felt cheerful. And it seems that Ray is not prejudiced against commoners, so she can't wait for their next meeting. A little while later, the maids whisper that the Duke and the priest's mistress have begun to spend a lot of time together. One of them also claims that the mistress helped the Duke when he had a fit. Her colleague claims that this is probably why His Majesty increased the number of theological classes. At this time, the main character turns to the gentleman and asks him to give it to her, and he still won't go there. But the boy asks why she needs this, after which the young lady understands that it all started with that she opened an envelope for upper-class people that someone had thrown out in the living room. Inside was an invitation to a banquet at the Imperial Palace, and now the young lady just cries out that she wants to go there, after which she claims that she always wanted to go to a banquet, and that adults sometimes need to have fun too. The young man then asks if she really wants to say that he is boring, and who asked her to increase the number of classes. The girl answers that this is why she needs a rest. She understands that so many things have piled up when she has more activities, and she doesn't have so many stories. So the young lady tells the Duke to give her the invitation, but he says no, and if she has time to go to such places, then let her tell him more stories. And why the priest and the banquet? After all, it discredits the priests. Well, the young lady says that they are people too. The girl understands that the reason why she wants to go there is that, judging by the plot of the novel, Marquis Werner will appear there, and she can't miss such a chance. The guy at this time asks what she will give him in exchange, and she thinks that he will let her go just like that. The young lady then asks what he wants to, which he replies that he needs 5 tickets to extend classes, and the main character says how ruthless he is. After which, the young man turns around and says that he wants it as he wants. But the young lady suggests agreeing on two. The Duke claims that he didn't know his teacher was so shameless, and he'll settle for a 3, but no less. Otherwise, he will burn this envelope. Elna thinks what a little bastard he is, after which she says that it's good and he will be 3. To which the guy replies that they agreed. And the young lady immediately takes the envelope. And the guy claims that then he will use 1 extension today. But the girl claims that she has already told 1 story. Today, the guy then asks if something is wrong with her, because if so, then let her return the envelope to him. Elena replies that no, and that her throat just hurts a little, after which the guy suggests taking a break for an hour. The young lady wonders if it would be okay if she took a rest, and the Duke asks if she really thinks he is so heartless. A little while later, the young lady realizes that she had been wondering why he decided to take a break, and he was just waiting for all the children working in the palace to gather. And maybe he enjoyed listening to stories with the others. And even he has a sweet side. The young lady claims that today will be a story about everyone's favorite sun god, Rahan. More precisely about the wind that envied him. The guys then say how interesting it is. Well, the Duke says that if they make so much noise, the story won't be heard. He also addresses the main character and tells her to be more serious and start faster, and not to interrupt. The girl then replies that she understood Mr. Lin and begins her story. The young lady is being watched by the Marquis, and the butler addresses him and asks whether to inform him of his visit. The man replies that it is not necessary because he just came to look. The main character continues her story at this time. The blonde thinks what an unexpected sight this is, because it's the first time he's seen this problematic child. So obediently listened to someone. He was curious about the kind of priest who was able to bring the Duke to his senses. Well, as Maynard said, she is quite a nice and interesting person. A little while later, it was time for a banquet at the Imperial Palace. The girl wonders if she really is there. But in the novel, this event was described very beautifully, but she didn't think that in reality it would be even better. Everyone came in pairs. Except her, the girl thinks that she will spend her time better with this delicious cake. Well then, she hears someone talking to Miss Frances and saying that she looks so beautiful today. He also wonders if this dress was made especially for her, after which the blonde smiles and says that he is exaggerating, and the main character looking at her thinks it is thanks to whom that her dress shines so much, and she washed them in the river until her hands went numb. And then the girl realizes that she is thinking about washing at such a magnificent banquet, after which he thinks that he needs to eat the cake quickly. But at that very moment, someone turns to the young lady and asks if she likes the cake. So surprised chokes, after which the guy apologizes and says that he didn't want to scare her. Elena replies that nothing and everything is fine, but then she asks if this is really Lord Errands. At this time, the guy tells Mrs. Elena that they haven't seen each other for a long time, and he didn't expect to meet her there. The girl then asks why he is there, but the guy replies that he is also an aristocrat. Elena understands that at their first meeting, he was dressed like a knight, but now he exudes wealth as expected from the heir of a count. The knight at this time asks if something has happened, to which the young lady replies that no, and thinks that he is simply too handsome. Maynard claims that they haven't seen each other since that day in the library, and the young lady says that she has been very busy lately. The guy then says that he wore so many clothes from his theology teacher, and that she really is a wonderful person since she helps her colleague. The girl understands that Maynard is so easily surprised, and in the book he was the same. His unrequited love, Rosaline. He hid his own feelings so as not to disturb her. She was so hurt for him. So now the young lady takes a piece of cake and hands it to the knight, and also tells him to take it because he likes desserts. But the guy then asks how she knows about it. Elena replies that she did read the Empress, but at the same moment, she understands what she just said. Then she claims that she can see it in his eyes. The young man then asks if the girl could tell from his face that he likes sweets, and the young lady replies that the atmosphere around him is like a cream pie, and almost everyone likes cakes, so the girl hands him a piece. Then the knight thanks Mrs. Elena and replies that she is also glad that she found the one with whom she can eat cake. The young lady also says that it is very tasty and asks if the guy thinks so, to which he replies that yes, and so it is. Maynard also asks if the Duke is there too, The young lady notes that only she and Baron France's daughter came from the Palace of Dawn, after which the guy says that's how it is. And the young lady understands that they were talking about Rosalind, and the guy didn't even bat an eyelid. And the main character wonders if they haven't had time to get closer. Yet the guy at this time claims that he thinks that due to the absence of His Majesty, the banquet will be extended. The young lady asks why, and the guy replies that everyone would be upset if they didn't see such a noble person there. Without him, the atmosphere there is not the same, and no one will be satisfied with the banquet if he does not come. The young lady then says that that's it, after which she also thinks where Rainier is. At this time, the knight asks the young lady if she is waiting for someone, to which she replies that she is not, and simply looks around. The guy at this time thinks that maybe she is bored with him, but at the same moment, the butler turns to the knight and claims that the count is calling him. The guy claims that he will come now, after which he also turns to Mrs. Elena and asks if it would be okay if he were to leave for a bit. The girl replies that of course she doesn't mind, and after which the knight claims that he will return soon. The young lady at this time thinks that Rainier would come sooner, after which she hears someone screaming and looking in that direction wonders if this is really a scene from a novel. Someone steps on the main character's dress and she almost falls, but then a guy with blonde hair gives her his hand, and he wonders if the lady is hurt. The main character understands that this is a dazzling blonde man who has inherited Imperial blood. His blue eyes are like precious stones, and no girl in the Empire can take her eyes off him. This guy is Marquis Rainier von Werner. The girl thinks that she can't even believe that such a handsome man exists, and the main character is incredibly lucky. After all, such a handsome guy will be courting her. Although in the original story, she chose the Emperor. So the girl thinks how much more handsome he is than the Marquis. But then she notices the guy looking in her directions, after which she even wonders what just happened and whether she imagined it. At this time, a knight approaches the young lady and claims that he has returned. The girl asks if he has returned so quickly and if he has finished his business. Maynard replies that yes, it was necessary to simply greet his father. The young man also asks if the lady communicated with anyone in his absence. Elena replies that no, because she doesn't know anyone there, after which the guy says that's how it is, and once again turns to Mrs. Elena. He also claims that it looks like they'll be launching fireworks later, to which the girl replies that she can't wait, and the guy says he can if she doesn't mind, but at that very moment, someone comes up to the young lady from behind, which surprises her and makes her lose her balance. It turns out to be that same Marquise. He tells the lady that she needs to be careful, which surprises her. The guy claims that it seems like she doesn't often go to places like this. Elena wonders if this is Marquis Rainier von Werner, after which she doesn't understand at all what he's doing there. The knight then claims that this was extremely disrespectful to the lady, so he asks the Marquis to be careful. He also asks Mrs. Elena if Leon is okay, to which the girl replies that yes. At this time, Maynard asks the Marquis what brought him there, and he seemed not to want to come. The man replies that yes, and at least he had such plans, after which he also tells the guy to look there, and the knight looks in the direction he pointed. The Marquise then asks if this is Count Winterhill. The blonde replies that it looks like he came to the capital because of problems with the army in the north, and he can't leave the banquet in the Imperial Palace to the flow of aristocracy. But this man lived in seclusion for almost 20 years, and then suddenly came to the bank because what did he have in mind? After which, the guy turns to the young lady, because he notices how she is looking at him. At this time, the girl thinks that this is the real Rainier, and she can't even believe that she is standing next to him. Maynard then goes to introduce the young lady, but the blonde insists that he knows, and that she is the Duke's theology teacher. He also says that it is a pleasure to meet you, after which he introduces himself. Elna claims that it is an honor for her to meet him, and I ask how he knows that she is a theology teacher. The blonde replies that they had chatted earlier with her colleague, and he learned from her that the lady is a theology teacher. Then, when she looked in his direction, and it was Lady Rosaline who pointed at her, the girl then thinks that it can't be. And the first dialogue of one of the main male characters, and the main heroine was, and her. The guy then says that lately everyone has been talking about how the selfish Duke opened up to the lady. That's why he wanted to meet her. The girl understands that she is somehow embarrassed by such rumors, and the blonde at this time claims that he heard that she had a hard time because of his younger cousin. Elena replies that nothing, and she likes her job. The man then remembers how he watched the young lady and thinks that yes, she approaches her very responsibly. At this time, the guy says that even though he is his cousin, the Duke's persistence amazes him, and he understands what the lady had to go through, after which he kisses her hand. He also claims that seeing such a beautiful and amazing person suffer breaks his heart. The guy understands that the lady will blush now, and then fall in love with him. But when he looks at the main character, he understands that she has no reaction at all. At this time, other people ask if the girl saw that the Marquise kissed her hand. At this time, the main character is thinking about what just happened and whether Rainier really kissed her hand. And she experienced that scene from the novel herself, so now she feels like she was at a fan meeting. The guy then only thinks that he doesn't believe it, and that no one has ever reacted so dryly. At this time, the knight turns to Lady Helen and asks if everything is okay with her. After all, if she feels bad. But the girl says that it is not because she is just hungry, because she has not eaten the cake. At this time, the knight understands that the lady is hungry, and he did not even notice it. Elna says that she will eat a little more and asks if Mr. Arns will make her stay company. Well, then the blonde offers to go with them too, if they don't mind, of course. The young lady then wonders if in the novel he ate cake at the banquet, and he should have liked Rosaline by now. Well, now the guy suggests going, and the young lady thinks why these two are walking around her because it's somehow strange. And the girl thinks why what is happening is different from the novel. After which, the young lady wonders if they don't have other things to do. The blonde wonders if the lady really wants him to leave there, and he answers that no, and she just thought that they had a lot to do without him. The Marquis replies that no, and he is free, after which the young lady tells him to think carefully, because maybe he has forgotten something after all. And suddenly, he remembers what this matter is. Or maybe he has already arranged a meeting with someone. The guy then wonders if she really took him for a womanizer, and also if the girl really isn't interested in him at all. After which, the blonde claims that now his gaze is directed only at Mrs. Elena. He also understands that he will not retreat so easily. After which, the young lady cuts a piece of cake and hands it to the Marquis, and also says that he really wanted to eat the cake. The guy then says that he looks even more delicious in her hands, and the girl realizes that maybe she is too worried about the original story. The Marquise then smiles and says that Madame Elena turned out to be much more charming than he imagined. The young lady then thanks him, but realizes that she just talked to him a little and gave him a piece of cake. After which, the girl also claims that he had previously said that he came there because of the Count. To which the guy replies that yes, and his family rules the largest territory in the north. Before his predecessor, he held the post of representative of the Aristocratic Association, but due to one scandal, the current head had to return to his territories. They say that during this time, things in the Imperial Palace began to improve, as did the lives of the local residents. The guy also thinks that, of course, this is not all, because Winterhill has a strong military power, which is closely monitored by the Imperial Palace. This family could rebel at any moment, and the guy doesn't know why he came to the banquet, but now he understands the aristocrats' excitement. At this time, someone asks the ladies and gentlemen for forgiveness for the wait, and claims that very soon they will see a performance of Sufi doors. If they want to watch the wizards of the Kharid family, they can head to the balcony or the garden. The young lady thinks about the fireworks and understands that this is the main event of this banquet. And these two had to look at them together with Rosalind, after which the girl says that she deviates on this. Well, at that very moment, two guys simultaneously turn to Mrs. Elena and offer her to look at the fireworks, after which they look at each other, and the main character thinks about what is going on there. And do they really want to watch the fireworks with her? After which the lady apologizes and says that she thinks they should call Miss Frances. The knight then asks who it is, and the blonde asks why he should sleep with her. Elena understands that the situation is beyond reasonable limits, and it is not she who should be spending time with them. And the main character, Rosalind, that's why the girl wonders if she really changed history that much. Then the dishes fall out of the young lady's hands. Two guys immediately scream at Mrs. Elena and ask if everything is okay with her. The girl realizes that the people who were impatiently waiting for the fireworks at the magnificent banquet eventually watched as the main character and two men approached. So the young lady wonders why she messed everything up. A little while later, the blonde says that the girl has been too willful lately, and she can't believe she has time to indulge in love games. The young lady asks what she's talking about, to which her interlocutor replies that there are rumors that she had a pleasant conversation at the banquet with Lord Errands and Marquis Werner, but she stumbled on purpose to attract his attention. The main character tells the girl not to worry, because nothing happened between them, and the blonde says that this is good, after which she claims that her help is needed. The girl says that she took everything to her room, so let her check it quickly. A little while later, Elena carries dirty clothes and thinks where she got so many dirty things from, and also whether she really changes clothes 3 times a day. The young lady also thinks that she too should have a weak spot, since she has to go to the library and clean her room. She doesn't even have time to sleep and rest, and the more she interferes with the plot, the worse it gets. The young lady then throws the basket in the blonde's room and claims that she is done with the laundry. Rosalind then says that the girl didn't clean the room well, but the young lady replies that this can't be because she washed everything there clean. And Elena asks if the girl really wants to make her clean such a big room again. The girl understands that she means washing her things in cold water until her hands go numb, and she sits there sipping tea. After which, the blonde says that the girl leaves her no choice and will have to tell the emperor that the duke is being taught by a commoner. Elena thinks that's all, after which she asks where she can wipe it again. Rosalind asks if she means this whole room, after which the girl claims that she will go get everything necessary for cleaning, but understands that this cannot continue, and if she does not do something, she will soon collapse without strength. By the way, in the novel, Rosaline was very busy. She didn't just teach classes. Well, she had an affair with 3 heroes, and the girl understands that if she uses it, even though she changed history a little, it was only the beginning, because if she helped Rosalind with her love affairs, everything would return to normal. And it's not for nothing that she read this novel, so the girl understands that she will do this to get her peaceful days back. A little while later, a young lady comes to the emperor's garden and asks if Ray came straight from training, after which she also tells him to quickly give her his hand, because it will heal her. The man extends his hand, but thinks that the girl really does look like a rabbit, after which he also asks if it is necessary for them to hold hands during the healing. And also, isn't she being too cautious? The girl asks if he's serious, but insists that it's part of the healing process, or he only wants to be touched by his loved one, to which he replies that no, and that everything is not right. And the main character says that she finished, and everything turned out well, after which the guy thanks her. And the young lady thinks that for some reason today, her head is spinning more than usual, and probably it is because of fatigue. At this time, the brunette approaches the girl and asks if everything is okay, because it seems like she is getting dizzy when she uses her powers. The girl replies that she was just a little overzealous, but she realizes that the guy is too close. And he looks at her like that. The brunette at this time claims that her eye color has changed, after which the young lady asks what he is talking about, and the young man claims that they were not so pale at their first meeting, and maybe it has something to do with her powers. Elena claims that she doesn't know and somehow didn't notice. The guy at this time claims that he feels some changes in his body after her treatment, and maybe she has some other powers. The girl then asks, in what sense? After which the brunette claims that he himself does not understand. After all, her power seems to mix with his mana, and then accumulate in his body. According to the indicators, they should be equal, so this has never happened to him before, and yet it is strange to feel the mana of another person in himself. However, he won't say that it's bad. The girl claims that this is the first time she uses magic so often, and he hasn't gotten worse. After which the guy says no, and everything is fine. The young lady then says that, thank God, because she already thought that she had ruined everything, but if he feels any changes, then let him tell her right away. The guy agrees, but he understands that this is the first time he has been treated like this, and it is a strange feeling. The lady at this time asserts that she wanted to ask if he knew Lord Arnis. The guy then asks who it is, and the young lady claims that it is a tall, dark-haired knight, and that he is still close to the emperor. He is so famous, so how can a guy not know him? But the brunette asks why the girl is asking about him, and he answers that it would take a long time to explain, and that he wanted to know about Duke Levi. But he has a high status, so it's not surprising that he doesn't know him. The guy then says that it's okay, and he can find out from others. The young lady then rejoices, and says that it was a good idea to approach him, and the guy asks what she wants to know about Lord Errands, to which the young lady replies that she is interested in what kind of girls he likes. A little while later, The knight knocks on His Majesty's room, after which he tells the boy to come in. The knight does so, and then tells His Majesty that he has arrived at his command. The young man also wonders if he has some kind of assignment, but the brunette immediately asks Maynard what kind of girls he likes, and let him write his ideal type. After that, the Gap is surprised and thinks why he has asked such questions. But the man only tells him to answer faster, after which the guy claims that he likes girls who are good at cooking. He also likes well-read people, and it is important that they have a lot of common topics for conversation. But then the knight asks His Majesty if everything is all right with him, to which he replies that everything is fine, and the guy says that if he needs anything, then let him say so. But the man immediately replies that he did say that everything was fine. Maynard realizes that this is not like His Majesty at all, since he never gives in to emotions. After which the Emperor asks the last question. What time does he usually go to his favorite pastry shop? A little while later, the main character is heading in a carriage and thinks that she hasn't been there often lately. But she doesn't think that Ray was wrong. But the girl also thinks that maybe he is busy now, and there was no such conversation. After which, the girl also thinks about how she can introduce the knight to Rosalind. Well, when the main character is about to approach the entrance, she sees a knight there. The guy then turns to the lady, after which he tells Elena that they haven't seen each other for a long time. The young lady replies that he is and wonders if he is already leaving. The girl also wonders what he forgot there, and in the library, but their meeting still means nothing. After which, the girl claims that she still needs to return her book before the library closes. But the guy asks the lady Elena to wait. The girl asks if something really happened, after which the guy states that if she doesn't mind, then can she give him a little of her time? The young lady then says that the Lord had such a serious face now, after which the young man asks for forgiveness, but claims that it was probably too sudden, and also apologizes for scaring her. The girl then says that it is nothing to worry about, and he also understands that Rosalind will definitely throw in some work when she returns, after which he realizes that she doesn't want to go back, and maybe she should go with Maynard after all. After which the girl says that it's good that she returns the book. Well, the guy immediately offers his help with this, after which he takes the book from the girl's hands, and he claims that he will return soon. The main character thinks where he is going to take her, and why is she so worried? A little while later, they come to the pastry shop. Maynard tells Mrs. Elena to pass through, and the girl realizes that this is the pastry shop where the knight goes. Here he was supposed to meet Rosalind well. The girl wonders why they came to her, and hasn't the guy stopped going there? At this time, the young man looks at the girl, after which he becomes a little depressed, and says that it is probably strange that the knight comes to such places. Elena replies that not at all, and she has simply never been there, and was surprised. The girl understands that she completely forgot that the guy is shaming her with his love for sweets. After which she claims that she doesn't care what suits whom because absolutely everyone likes sweets. Elena also asks if it's not great that their tastes coincide, to which the guy replies that he didn't even think about it. After which he thanks Mrs. Elena, and then he offers to transgress. But when the main character looks at the place where the cakes once were, T.O. is shocked because there is almost nothing left there. The guy then wonders what happened, and the main character claims that there are almost no cakes left. She also takes Lord Errands. He grabs their hand and insists that they need to hurry, otherwise all the delicious cakes will be eaten without them. The young man then turns to Mrs. Elena, and the main character turning to him asks what happened. After which, the guy claims that everyone is looking at them. The main character looks at them, holding hands, and then apologizes and claims that she is so impatient. She also suggests hurrying up before everything is taken away. The young man looks at his hand and only smiles. A little while later, they are already sitting at the table, and the girl asks which cake she should choose because they all look so delicious. And now she understands why they are sold out so quickly. The young man only smiles after this, and Elena asks why he's laughing, to which he replies that the girl is just so sweet. Elena says that no matter how much he praises her, she will not give him those strawberries on the cake. Maynard then offers Mrs. Elena to try the chocolate cake. Hey, the girl asks if he really thinks she's that greedy. The girl understands that delicious desserts and pleasant conversation are very good, and she has not spent time like this for a long time. When they finish their meal, the girl thanks the Lord for bringing them. She went there today because, to be honest, she had been feeling depressed lately. The guy asks if she feels any better, To which the young lady replies, yes, with a smile on her face. The young man becomes embarrassed after this and realizes that this is the silhouette that kept popping up in his memory, the one he wanted to see the most. So now he looks at the lady with a smile on his face. The girl then says that he just had such a face, and the guy asks if that is really true. To which the young lady replies that of course, although he is always like that, and it is not flattery because anyone would think so in her place. Then the young lady addresses the guy by name, but she realizes what she just said and corrects herself, calling him Lord Arnis. The girl also says that he is so beautiful, so it is no wonder that everyone loves him. Elena also understands that she was so excited that she completely forgot and called him by name. The guy then turns to Mrs. Elena and says that he has a request for her, after which the girl asks what it is. Maynard says if it wouldn't be too much trouble, could the lady please call him by his first name? The main character is surprised by this and understands that they are not that close, after which he thinks whether he really wants them to become friends and turns to the Lord. But he just gets embarrassed and says that if the lady wants, she can eat his cake too. Elena wonders why he is so embarrassed. But he says that he hasn't eaten at all, to which he replies that he's already eaten his fill. Their main character says that there's nothing to be done then. After all, you can't leave food like that, after which she thanks Lord Maynard, and the guy also thanks her, calling her by name. The girl realizes that one of the main male characters, Maynard von Arnis, has turned on love mode. A little while later, someone says that the shawl seems to have been sewn for the lady. Well, the young lady then turns to Ilya and asks if she can really accept such a valuable thing. The woman replies that of course, because it was done for her, and the lady worked very hard to train the Duke. The main character thanks them, but claims that she feels somehow awkward and understands that this is the first time in this world that she has had such a good time. The girl did not think that she would become so attached to this place, after which the maid turns to the mistress and says that she began to look better. Elena says that she hasn't changed at all, but the woman claims that there are rumors about this, even among the courtiers. And didn't she notice it? Elena claims that people are looking at her only because of this beautiful shawl, while the Duke claims that he doesn't think that such an insignificant and lowly saint could interest the others. The girl then says that the Duke is apparently a giant, and the boy replies that he is taller than other 8-year-olds, after which he turns to the servants and seems to tell them that he will not give the lady. The girl wonders if he really doesn't like her popularity. At this time, the guy tells the nanny to stop flattering Elena because suddenly she will take everything seriously. At this time, a maid approaches the Duke and says that he has a visitor. The main character wonders if Levy has guests and if anyone has visited him before. The guy then asks who is there, after which the maid claims that this is Marquise Rainier von Werner, and the main character wonders if this day has really come. According to the novel's plot, the Marquis came to visit Rosaline at the Palace of Dawn after the banquet. They couldn't spend time then, but now. The girl realizes that she can return the novel to its original form, after which the guy asks where he is now, and the maid answers that he is waiting in the garden. At this time, the main character understands that the Duke had only seen the Imperial Palace from afar before, and she wonders if everything will be okay when he meets the Marquis. A little while later, they are already heading to the garden, after which the blonde turns to the boy and asks how he is doing. The main character, looking at this guy, understands that he shines brighter than the sun. The Duke at this time tells his brother that they haven't seen each other for a long time, and his clothes are still just as shiny. The Marquis then says that the guy hasn't changed at all, and hasn't even grown much. The young lady realizes that everything seems to be going well between them. Well then, the blonde looks at her, and the girl thinks why. After which she bows, and also says that it is nice to meet the gentleman again. At this time, the guy says that they have finally met, after which he kisses the lady's hand. The main character then asks if he could let go of her hand. I think that's what Rainier always greets ladies like that. At this time, the man says that he is very sad, because the lady never answered his letter, and he already thought that something had happened, but she is still beautiful. The girl then asks if he is talking about the letter. After all, she didn't get anything. The blonde claims that this country ball he sent as many as 3, and someone couldn't take them, after which they look at the Duke. But he asks why the lady is looking at him like that, and does she really think it was him? At this time, the Marquis claims that in fact, there was a check for a tidy sum in one letter, and it would be a shame if it was not found. The guy then takes out the letter and says that he is lying, because there was nothing like that in them. The main character then asks the gentleman why he did this, after which the guy doesn't even know how to explain. And the blonde asks, "Isn't it clear, since he always has such a beautiful girl with him?" The Duke then says that everything is not so, after which he cries out that it is for Elena's sake. And Brother Rainier is a womanizer, who is hard to find. So let Elena not be fooled by his face and sweet words. After all, I only need to look at appearances. The blonde then says that you can't argue because the past can't be changed, and so he asks not to misunderstand his feelings. The Duke then asks what he wants now, and that he should not dare bother Elena. But the Marquis asks, since when does the guy decide for her, since she is simply his theology teacher? But the young man says that this is not true, because Elena is like an older sister to him. The main character is surprised by this, and the Marquis understands that the guy has never opened up to anyone like this before. He also thinks about what kind of ability this lady has to attract people to her, and he also has his eye on her, after which the man apologizes for going too far. But these letters were intended for Mrs. Elena. After all, His Majesty wants to meet the guy. The Emperor is nearby at this time, and he thinks how his brother will react. The Duke at this time asks if this letter is really from his brother, after which he says that it is time for him to go. And the main character apologizes and asks the Marquise if she can ask a question. Well, he answers that yes. The young lady asks if he knows that the Duke has fits when he sees grown men. So why is he so calm around him? The blonde asks if she noticed, and then he will tell something. Their last meeting with the Duke was 5 years ago, and then he immediately fainted. After that, His Majesty immediately returned to the Empire, and then chaos reigned there. So he didn't have time for his younger brother, so he decided to take on this role himself. Eventually, the boy began to cry less and became closer to him. It was not easy to achieve any improvement in his condition. The young lady says that he seems to value his cousin very much, and understands that Rainier was also very busy. After all, he became a marquise at an early age. The guy at this time says that he would rather call it a sense of responsibility. At this time, the young lady thinks that maybe this way, his relationship with the Emperor will improve. Well, the blonde guy claims that he feels better, thinking that the guy has become attached to the lady. After all, it's not easy for him now. So he asks to calm the Duke down. Elena asks if she should try to get an answer from him, to which the man replies that it's not worth it. And he thinks that His Majesty is already used to this, because Levi has never accepted his invitations, and they haven't seen each other since that incident. The main character wonders if they've really been living apart all this time. And the Marquis claims that the criminal who targeted Levi is still at large. Because of fear, he cannot meet his own family, so he feels so sorry for them. Well, it seems to him that their meeting can be arranged, because the lady herself saw that the Duke can calmly be near him. So if he sits with him at lunch, everything should go well. The main character wonders if Rainier really wants to go with them. Well, she also understands that, according to the novel, the guy never did anything for nothing and is interested in what he wants for it. Marquez claims that the lady understands him well, and everything is very simple. Therefore, let the girl allow herself to be accompanied to dinner in a few days, and she only needs to send a note, and also to refuse the already appointed dinner with the Duke of Lloyd. He has one wish, and he wants the girl to listen to his one request. This request will not burden her or take much time, and he will also accept any answer. The main character understands that even though she doesn't trust him, this is a great chance to help Leith, after which the young lady accepts his proposal. After that day, everything went well. Duke Levi decided to accept the Emperor's invitation at the suggestion of Marquis Werner. Everyone in the Palace of Dawn was in anticipation and tension. A little while later, the young lady turns to Ray, and he asks if something really happened, and also why his face is so tense. The guy asks if it's noticeable, but to tell the truth, he will soon meet his younger brother, with whom he hasn't communicated. Yelena says that it is a coincidence, because His Majesty is also a girl, and also asks how long it has been since they last saw each other. The brunette replies that he doesn't even remember. But the main character asks if he shouldn't be happy about this, to which the guy replies that that's how it is. But he doesn't know what to tell him. The man understands that he brought the guy a gift for his 6th birthday, without warning about his visit, but when the boy saw his brother, he was very surprised and had another seizure. The man realizes that he didn't think the guy would accept his invitation, and the main character looking at Ray asks if everything is okay. The brunette replies that yes, he was just thinking a little. Elena then asks how old his brother is, to which the man replies that he will be 8 this year, and he didn't have parents, so he was raised by another person. The main character realizes that this guy and the Duke are the same age and have similar stories, after which she asks if it wouldn't be better to find out what he likes, and whether it would be possible to ask about his hobby or about a girl he is interested in. The brunette claims that he thinks the guy is still too young for a relationship, but Elena says that he doesn't understand anything, because today's children grow up very quickly. It would be a good idea to start the conversation by asking about his interests. The girl also says that Ray needs to relax a little. She of course does not know all the circumstances, but isn't it great that they will meet again? The man then asks the young lady if her family is waiting for her, to which she replies that she doesn't exist left at the temple when he was a child. Usually, when children are abandoned, their clothes and other things are left behind. But in her case, everything was different, because she was an unwanted child. The brunette asks if the girl hates her parents. To something she answers that no, but she thinks that trees with a trunk grow straight and strong. And as much as the guy loves his brother, he wants to meet him just as much. So he needs to be a support for his brother. And Elena says that she hopes their meeting will go well. The man then strokes Elena's head and thanks her. The main character is a little embarrassed by this, and she also understands that at the moment when his smile became warmer, her heart gave a strange beat. Hey! The girl thinks, what kind of feeling is this? A little while later, the day of the meeting with the Emperor comes, and the Duke prepares. The main character approaches him and asks if he is ready yet, to which he replies that he is. Well, the young lady, seeing his reaction, asks if something is wrong, and he is unwell. The guy is silent for a while after this, but asks if everything will be okay when he and his brother meet. And what should he do if he disgraces himself again, because his brother won't feel sorry for him at all? What if he hurts his brother again? Elna understands that the guy is so worried. Well, the girl also understands that now he should be bolder, after which she remembers about her pendant. The girl takes it out from under her clothes and claims that it contains her healing power. The young lady thinks that she still doesn't understand why she treasures this pendant so much, but he will definitely help her, after which the girl puts it on the Duke and claims that if he gets worse, then let him take care of him. This pendant will give him strength when the boy sees his majesty. The young man asks with a smile on his face if this is true. Well, the main character replies that, of course, but he needs to remember something. After all, even if he now mustered up the courage to come to the meeting, there is nothing shameful in the fact that he will want to return at some point, and no matter what happens, His Majesty will always cherish him. The guy then tells the young lady that he has a request. Elena asks what it is, and the gentleman can say whatever he wants, after which the couple, a little embarrassed, asks if the girl can now just call him by his first name, to which she agrees, after which she wishes him luck. Elena thinks that, for some reason, she has a good feeling about their meeting. Rainier will be with them, so there shouldn't be any problems, and she hopes that everything will be fine. At this time in the Imperial Palace, someone informs the master that the lords have already arrived in the dining hall. The brunette understands that this day has come, and his desire will not hurt the guy. Well, if he sees his frightened brother again. But then the man remembers how the young lady said that she thinks trees and trunks grow straight and strong. Therefore, he needs to become a support for his brother. And the man thinks that this is true because you can't run away forever. To become a support, he must take a step towards him, after which the man enters the room, and the Duke as well as the Marquis greet His Majesty. The Emperor looks at his brother and thinks that thank God it seems that all is well with him for now. After which he says that he is glad to see the guy again, and also understands that it would be better not to disturb him during the meal. After which, he invites them to sit down, because he has selected their favorite dishes from today's menu. The Marquis sits down at the table and says that it is so thoughtful of him, after which he says that the steak and side dish taste simply wonderful. After this, the Marquis turns to Levi and offers him something to eat too, but the boy is a little nervous at this time. Then the Emperor turns to him and tells him that he can relax and eat slowly. The man also thanks him for coming today. The blonde also addresses the Duke and asks what the red pendant is around his neck. After all, the design is very similar to a woman's. The guy replies that Elena gave him this pendant. The Marquis then turns to the Emperor and asks if he knows about the Duke's theology teacher. His Majesty claims that he heard about it from Hugo. Well, he thinks that, to be more precise, they see her every 3 days. The blonde then turns to the Duke and says that they are close. After all, a person who doesn't know would definitely think that they are brother and sister, to which the guy replies that the teacher Elena is different from other priests. Rainier says that she is quite an interesting person, and then turns to His Majesty, and he says that maybe he should meet this girl, but the Emperor only understands that they already know each other. Marquez claims that this girl looks weak, but in fact she is brave. And even his gaze does not embarrass her, so it hurts his pride a little. The brunette thinks that this girl is strong in spirit, but the Duke claims that it is Elena. She doesn't judge people by their appearance. She has a big heart, and she always listens attentively to his stories. His Majesty understands that Levi talks so much, but he seems to have confused him. After which, he also decides to follow Elena's advice and asks the Duke if he likes Elena, after which the guy gets embarrassed and says that it's hard to say. Marquez claims that he speaks uncertainly. And does he really like the girl? Even wants to marry her, after which the Duke asks what he's talking about. And in 10 years, he will already be an adult. The Emperor understands that he probably shouldn't have worried. After all, everything is going better than he thought, as the girl said so. Now he thanks her in his thoughts. A little while later, the girl meets the Emperor and says that he is in a good mood today, and it seems that the meeting with his brother was successful. The guy replies that he decided to invite him to his home next time, and the young lady says that's great. Well, she asks if everything went well, to which Ray replies that it did, and thanks her. Elna says that she didn't do anything, and he tried hard himself. The brunette then says that the lady is also in a good mood today, and that something interesting just happened. The girl asks if it is really that noticeable, after which she claims that in fact, the atmosphere in the palace has recently changed for the better, and the Duke's condition became better. He said that he wanted to become as wise and cool as the Emperor. So the girl is glad that he managed to have lunch with him. The man then asks why the lady is so worried about the Duke. It's not just because she's his theology teacher. The girl then thinks a little, and then he claims that they see each other every day, so she got used to him. The Emperor asks if this is really so, and maybe she is just shy, to which the girl replies that everything is not so. Their Duke is a special child. After all, it is immediately obvious that he will become an incredibly handsome emperor. The brunette then says that he is even a little scared by her obsession with appearance. But the girl says that beauty is also important, and Ray is also handsome, so the girl asks if he doesn't take advantage of it. The man asks if she really thinks so, to which the girl replies that of course, and probably he was constantly told as a child about his incredible appearance. Well, when the guy is silent, the main character asks if he hasn't been told that, after which she puts her hand on his shoulder, and he says that he is seriously handsome. The guy then says that's how it is, and the young lady says that she almost forgot to say the most important thing, and she had things to do, so she won't be able to come there next week. Brand asks what she's talking about, and the young lady notes that she was simply invited to a knight's tournament, after which the Emperor says that that's it. He wonders if she will go there with a companion, to which the girl replies that yes, but she thinks that she will just walk around there as if on an excursion, and that's all. The man then asks who invited her, after which the girl answers that it was Rainier, and to be more precise, Marquis Werner. A little while later, the Emperor sits in his office and wonders when these two managed to become so close, and also what happened between them that he decided to invite her to this tournament. The man also thinks why he doesn't like it so much. A little while later, the girl opens the box with the gift, after which he sees that there is a dress there. The nanny claims that it is very luxurious, and you only have to look at it. This dress must have been sewn in Vrigg's studio. The main character then only asks why she was sent such a beautiful thing, to which the woman replies that she will be Mr. Werner's companion. And it's for the best, because she was already worried that the lady would go in her everyday clothes. The main character is surprised after this, and the woman asks if she really is going to go there like that. Elena replies that her uniform is also made of high-quality materials. Ilya then tells Mrs. Elena that she would like to explain something to her, because the knight's tournament that the Werner family holds every year is a very important event. Only 100 people will be invited there, and the rest will not be able to attend the tournament. The main character then says that she thought she would just watch horse riding enthusiasts. She also does not remember that happening in the novel. Well, the woman claims that, in any case, the market is grateful that the lady paid attention to it. Elena think about whether she was really invited to such an important event. Well, he thinks, why is this so? A little while later, the maids approach the girl. One of them says that it was not for nothing that she worked in the studio before, and the other asks Lena to trust them because they will do everything at the highest level, after which they dress the girl. A little while later, the main character already arrives at this event. She also understands that this Poland looks like a party, but she was told that there would be nothing special there. So now the girl is wondering why he decided to invite her. The girl understands that wherever she looks, there are aristocrats all around, and she is even interested in what they are talking about so cheerfully. But in all this, she feels superfluous. Well, then someone turns to the young lady and says, "What kind of meeting is this?" and asks Elena what she forgot there. It turns out to be Rosalind, and the main character does not answer that she received an invitation. The blonde tells the girl not to lie. After all, how could a commoner come to such a place? Well, when the blonde looks at Elena's outfit, then she thinks where she got it from, after which she asks where the girl got this dress. Elena replies that it was given to her, after which Rosalind says that the girl should not make her laugh and that she stole it from the Duke. The main character asks what her interlocutor is talking about, after which she is going to say something else. But the Marquise comes up to her from behind and says that Madame Elena has come after all. The main character then turns to Mr. Rainier, but then she realizes what she just said and apologizes for calling him by his name. The man takes the lady by the hand and says that it's okay, because from now on she can always address him like that. And he had already begun to worry that Elena would not come. The other ladies were embarrassed by this, and one of them said that the Marquise had kissed her hand. Another one claimed that she was very jealous. At this time, the blonde says that the lady looks great in this dress, and it looks like he made the right choice. Well then, Rosalind also turns to Marquis Werner and says what luck this is. The girl introduces herself and asks if he remembers that they met at the banquet. And she is so glad to see him again. Elna wonders if this is the appearance of the main character, and if this is really the same person who made her wash her clothes. After which, the girl thinks that maybe it's time for her to leave them alone. But the Marquis claims that he has heard a lot about the lady from Elena, and she said that the girl is a very good teacher. Elena understands that he has not chosen the best time for this, and she does not want to be involved in it. But the Marquis only pulls the lady to himself and says that this is where they will take their leave, after which he wishes Miss Frances a good time. The main character wonders if he will really leave Rosaline so easily, after which they leave, and the blonde asks what kind of situation this is. After which, she also thinks that it is impossible that this commoner was his companion. The Marquis at this time turns to the young lady and asks if she likes it there. The girl replies that everything turned out to be bigger than she imagined, and the man claims that they will have an important fight this year. The night's tournament will last 3 days, and today there will be a match between the winner of the previous tournament and the new challenger. Well, this year their candidate is very popular, so they did everything to glory. At this time, the butler turns to the Marquise, after which he apologizes to Mrs. Elena, but claims that he needs to step away for a while. The girl replies that everything is fine. She also understands that people have started to gather. At this time, several more ladies approach the young lady and apologize, after which they introduce themselves. One of them claims that they wanted to introduce themselves earlier, but the lady was with the Marquis, and they did not want to disturb them. The main character then apologizes and says that she simply does not know anyone there, so Mr. Werner was next to her. One of the girls then says how kind the Marquise is, after which she asks how they met. Elna claims that she was with Lord Errands at a recent banquet, when the Marquise approached them, and that's how they met. One of the ladies asks if she is also acquainted with Lord Errands, and these three are the treasure of the empire. The Emperor Marquise and the Lord are the main handsome men. The main character then asks what the Emperor looks like, to which one of the ladies claims that she saw him only once when she was little. Although he was standing at a distance, his dark hair immediately caught her eye. The distinctive feature of the Imperial family has always been blonde hair. But the Emperor took after the previous Empress, and it is unusual for their empire to have dark hair. He also had blue eyes, but it was so long ago that she doesn't remember exactly. At this time, the main character thinks about blue eyes and dark hair, and also understands that this is very similar to Ray. At this time, one of the ladies says that it seems like the match is about to begin. It starts, and they ask if the lady is okay with them watching together, to which the girl replies, yes. The ladies then thank her, and they begin to watch. At this time, the other girls look at the main character and ask who this girl is, since the Marquis himself invited her. Another one also says that it is somehow strange because she has never heard of it. At this time, a blonde approaches them and claims that if they are talking about that priest, then she knows a lot about her. The girls then ask if this is Lady Rosalind. The blonde claims that Elena is training Duke Levi with her. Rosalind understands that the girl is lucky while she keeps her secret, and she even decided to deceive the Marquise. Well, when everything comes to light, they will definitely start to despise her, and therefore it's time to end this game. The blonde claims that this priest is actually an ordinary commoner, and it's even surprising that she's there. Well, after this, the ladies just smile and say that it can't be, after which the blonde replies that she's not lying, because this girl is a commoner. Well then, one of the ladies turns seriously to Rosalind and asks if she understands that now he is walking on very thin ice, and there is no need to create problems by telling fairy tales, because if she had not taken her instead of her maid, the girl wouldn't have gotten there, Rosalind. Then she looks at Elena and thinks that she should be standing there, after which she mentally asks who this girl is and why everyone treats an ordinary commoner so well. So let the girl wait a little more, and she will definitely bring the earth down on her. A little while later, someone asks Mrs. Elena if she will come next time, if she will be invited to, which the girl replies that of course, and she will be happy to come. At this time, the Marquis also comes up to them and says that he sees that they are having fun there. The other ladies immediately say that they will probably get back. Elena asks why they are doing this, since they haven't really gotten to know each other yet. The blonde at this time claims that Elena seemed to like these ladies, to which the girl replies that they simply have similar interests, after which she also notices how the atmosphere among the audience has slightly changed. The man replies that it is because of the participant who will fight in the last match, and the current challenger has won for 10 years in a row. However, due to an accident, he had to resign. The main character asks what happened, to which Martin replies that due to family circumstances, they found him a bride, but he married another girl. The engagement with the First Lady was broken off, but she did not appreciate this outcome. There are rumors that it was because of her that the carriage accident occurred, but in the end, it was considered a common accident. The carriage fell off a cliff, and the groom's body was never found. It is said that his wife was pregnant at the time of the incident. A lot of time has passed since then, and suddenly he appeared from there, and everyone was surprised. Well, the main character says that this is not all different, because in this match, there is a confrontation between the Imperial faction and the aristocrats. The Marquis asks what made her think so, to which the girl replies that it's just that the audience seems to be divided into two groups, and he said that the current contender is an unusual person, and if he is so famous, then he must have a lot of strength. In addition, this is enough to shake the authority of the Imperial family, which is why everyone is so interested. But the young lady asks if the gentleman had not predicted the outcome of this confrontation. The blonde asks why she thinks so. The lady replies that this event is organized by his family. Rainier then says that the lady has a keen eye. He also realizes that this girl has exceeded his expectations and even understood his intentions, so he thinks who she is. At this time, someone screams that the participants are leaving. The main character looks at one of them, and you understand that this thing is the Lord of the North. The blonde then tells the lady that, as she said, he already knows the outcome of this event, and he would like to see a victory that would bring honor to the Imperial family. So he offers to take a look at their trump card, after which the presenters claim that the opponent is Count Winterhill. The knight Maynard von Errands appears. The main character then asks in shock if it is really him. The girl understands that the atmosphere around him is completely different and wonders if it is really him, after which the guy smiles at the young lady. One of the ladies asks what to do since he smiled at her, but the other replies that it is not true and it was not addressed to her. The main character understands that this guy is very popular, after which the girl says that it will be tense, and the blonde replies that it is a dangerous sport, after which they start a fight, but the spears of two participants break. The judge then cries out that it is a draw and tells them to quickly bring new spears. The main character then asks what will happen if one of them gets injured, to which the Marquis replies that initially, nightly tournaments were competitions in which the participants could not defend themselves. They were constantly breaking something about falling from a horse could lead to plunging into eternal sleep. Elena says how awful it is. Well, then she hears someone say that the battle is over, and the winner is Lord Maynard von Arnis. The main character then congratulates Maynard. Well, the Marquis doesn't like this very much, after which he pulls the lady closer to him and tells her to be careful. Then he also smiles at the knight. At this time, other people ask who will get the winner's wreath this year, and someone claims that he thinks this wreath will go to Arn's mother. Well, then the guy goes to Elena and addresses her. Then one of the people asks why he went to that girl. His old parents are not standing there. The main character is a little surprised by this and asks Maynard what it is. After which, the guy only asks if the lady will accept this wreath. But the girl thinks why Mr. Maynard decided to give this wreath to her. At this time, the blonde takes Mrs. Elena by the hand and says that she cannot accept this wreath. At this time, one of the aristocrats asks what is going on there and why the knight is giving it to Mr. Werner's companion. And also, are they both trying to win her favor? Elena then wonders what's wrong with them. And this is really too strange. Doesn't this usually happen to the main characters? But at that very moment, the girl hears someone screaming that Count Winterhill has fallen from his horse. Then someone screams that he is seriously injured. The main character looking at this understands that he can lose a lot of red liquid. If this is a very serious wound, then the outcome can be even worse. Therefore, the girl understands that she must help him, after which she runs to him. The girl turns to the doctor and asks about the Count's condition, to which he replies that he has a deep wound, but he has already given him a healing potion. He also asks who the lady is, to which she replies that she is a sacred person, and then turns to the Count and asks him to open his eyes. One of the aristocrats then says that he is unconscious and looks like he got hurt badly. Someone else asks if there is a way to stop the bleeding. The main character then turns to the Lord and the Marquise and asks to take her to the Palace of Dawn if she falls unconscious. The girl understands that she has no time to think, so she needs to help the Count, after which she begins to use her power, and the aristocrats say that the wounds are healing. One of them asks if this priest is Duke Levi's teacher, and if she has amazing abilities. The main character then says that thank God it seems the Count has come to his senses, but then the girl feels unwell, and she also wonders if she has overdone it because her eyes are darkening, and the lady does not understand how this happened because she just wanted a quiet life. A little while later, the Count begins to wake up. He also hears someone calling him, and he wonders if it could be Sylvia. Well, he also understands that it can't be her, but he wonders who it is then. After which, the Count wakes up completely and gets up from the bed, and the butler asks the gentleman if he is okay. The man then asks where he is, to which the butler replies that he is in the Imperial Palace, and after the night's tournament, the gentleman fell from his horse. Well, the man asks where his wounds are, then to which his interlocutor notes that the gentleman was healed by a priestess. The Count asks if the servant remembers what she looked like, after which he replies that he doesn't really remember, because he only remembers her long silver hair. The Count realizes that without a doubt she had golden eyes, after which he turns to Gray and tells him to unpack his things, because they will remain in the capital for some time. The man understands that the carriage in which Celia was riding was never found, but what if she suddenly survived, and she was able to give birth to a child safely? Shortly before the accident, he received a letter from his ex-fiancée, where she confessed that she had set it all up, and that this sin would not be hidden, even by plunging into eternal sleep. That's why the man thinks that maybe his child really does live somewhere now. The main character at this time opens her eyes and thinks where she is now, but then realizes that this is the Palace of Dawn. The Duke turns to the young lady and asks how she feels, and whether she knows how much sleep she has had since he was so worried. The nanny also turns to their mistress Elena and asks how she is feeling. The girl replies that everything is fine with her, after which the woman says that the Duke was very worried about her. Elena then asks the Duke if he sees that she is now completely fine, but the guy wonders where, because she slept for 2 whole days. Believe also hands over a potion from his older brother and claims that he said his teacher passed out while treating a person. Well, they are very effective, so let the girl drink quickly. They will also bring her something to eat soon, But for now, let the girl rest. Ilya tells the Duke that now he too will be able to sleep peacefully, but he only becomes embarrassed and claims that he never said that he couldn't sleep. Elena thinks that it is good when in difficult times there are people ready to come to the rescue, and it seemed to her that the Emperor was cold and also unapproachable, but he turned out to be kinder than she thought. Therefore, the girl wonders if everything is okay with him and Rosalind. And besides, she would not like to continue such a relationship with the Marquis and the Knight, and she never wanted to take Rosalind's place. Then the girl also remembers Ray, after which he thinks why she suddenly remembered him. The Emperor is training at this time. He also recalls how a little while ago the butler approached him and claimed that there had been an incident at the knight's tournament because the Count of Winterhill had fallen from his horse. Fortunately, Mrs. Elena was there and gave him first aid, but due to her poor health, she was later taken to the Palace of Dawn. The man realizes that this news has thrown him off track, and he is not himself now. A little while later, he comes to the forest where he met the young lady and realizes that he ended up there again. And after that incident, they never saw each other again. And this is of course logical. Well, at that very moment, the main character turns to Ray, after which they apologize for keeping you waiting and also claim that they haven't seen each other for so long and ask if he's okay. The brunette claims that he heard about her poor health and asks how she feels. Now, Elena says that means even he knows about it, after which he claims that everything is fine now because she is more alive than anyone else. And the Duke agreed to reschedule a few classes, and she also received a restorative potion from His Majesty, so everything is fine. And giving such a valuable thing to a mere saint is not like him. Therefore, apparently, His Majesty has good sides. The girl also asks why the guy was waiting for her. There did he know about these incidents? She might not have come today. The variant then says that, who knows, maybe she would come, and he didn't want to make her wait. The main character thinks that his words hurt her to the very heart. At this time, the brunette asks if the girl is eating well, to which she replies that she ate bread and stewed meat today. The Emperor asks if this is all, and now he understands why she is so small. Elena gets angry after this and says that she may look younger than her age, but she is already an adult. Then the young lady tells Ray not to worry, because unlike her, he needs to eat well to be big and strong. The girl also asks if knights always have such powerful bodies, to which the guy replies that in general, yes. But when the main character looks at his face, she wonders why he turned so red. At this point, the brunette asks if she could remove her hand, after which the girl apologizes and says that it was an accident. The Emperor asks if she is the only man who behaves like this, to which the lady replies that of course not, and that she is simply evaluating them. The girl also asks if anything happened while they were not together, and also whether he is injured anywhere, after which it notices that he has some wounds on his cheek and under his lips, and then she reaches out to the wounds. But then the girl gets a little embarrassed and thinks what's wrong with her. She's back to her old ways. Elna wonders why her heart is beating so fast. The brunette asks the lady if something really happened, to which she replies that the atmosphere around him today is just different, and vanilla, so to speak. The guy is a little surprised by this, and the main character asks what kind of reaction this is, and does he really have a loved one, to which he replies that this is not so. The girl then asks if this is unrequited love, to which he replies that, no, he just doesn't do anything. Then the young lady sits down on the floor and says that something exciting had happened to her in her life, but so far only strange rumors have been spread around her. Ray asks if it's because of what happened at the tournament, to which the girl replies that she never thought that those two would behave like that. The Emperor then asks if she feels anything for them, to which the girl replies that her feeling cannot be called love, and of course she is grateful to them for their kindness, but this is something else, because when you love someone, you think about them all the time and want to spend as much time with them as possible. For her, this is true love, after which the girl asks what Ray thinks, and he thinks that if this is true, then does he really love Elena? A little while later, the man enters the wardrobe, and the maid greets him. They also tell His Majesty to choose whatever he wants. The man then turns to one of the servants and tells him to prepare clothes for the Tidar festival. The butler agrees, and the Emperor adds that it should be something simple. A while ago, a young lady asked Ray if he wanted to go to the Tidar festival, The man asked if it was an annual event held on the island. Well, the young lady replied that yes, she would like to go there, even though she grew up going alone, was somehow not very good. The brunette then wondered if she really wanted to go with him. Elena replies that of course after all, and not friends, after which the girl also asks if she can call them that. Ray replies that of course, and suggests going to this festival. The girl then suggested meeting at the gates of the palace. And now the man is heading towards the palace gates and realizes that he has heard about this festival, but has never been there. And more accurately, this will be his first such walk. A little while later, he meets the girl, and she apologizes for the wait. The man says that it's okay, he just came up to her, and the main character says that thank God. And she's also not used to seeing him in different clothes, so he looks even cooler than usual. The Emperor says that it suits her very well too, after which the main character asks if he really said something, but the brunette just moves on and suggests that they go. A little while later, they already take a carriage. The girl also bargains with the coachman, and a little while later, they already drive up to the place from which you can go to the island, after which they take a boat. The main character says that she went somewhere for the first time since her move, to which the brunette agrees, and the young lady says that, especially with him, after which she asks if it's okay that she took him out on a day off, since he probably has a lot to do. Ray claims that he won't say that he is very busy and is happy to spend this day with her. The young lady then gets a little embarrassed, but she understands that the guy did say that he has a loved one, so she hopes that he won't understand. It's wrong. A little while later, they arrive at the festival, and the girl claims that it is more crowded than she imagined. Wherever you look, there are a lot of people around, after which someone almost touches the girl. Well, the brunette pushes her away and asks if everything is okay. Then he notices that he grabbed her shoulder, and he apologizes for doing it so abruptly. The girl says that it's okay, he wanted to help her, and the boy realizes that he shouldn't touch her so thoughtlessly. A little while later, they are already walking around the festival, and the young lady shows the fruits that can only be found there. They also try local dishes, and the young lady asks him how he is, to which His Majesty replies, "The states are quite good." A little while later, the main character claims that it was so much fun that she didn't even notice how time flew by. It's not like they've entered another world. The Emperor also smiles, and the young lady realizes that this is really so unusual for her. At first, it was hard for her to be Elena, but then she got used to it and met new people, although this is not her whole life. Now, the girl apologizes to Ray for such a sudden question and wonders what he will do if they can't see each other one day, and whether he will miss her. Elena understands that she came to this world by accident and what will happen when she is no longer there. The brunette then claims that no, he will find her, and he will search for her until she appears before him again. The main character says that although these are just words, she is happy, after which she realizes that there was concern in his intonation. And although she does not understand why he treats her like that, she is very happy to meet him. A little while later, they are already heading home, and the main character asks if he is against going for a walk again next time. The brunette says of course, and the girl wonders if this can be considered a promise. But when these two approach the pier, then the young lady does not see a single boat there, after which she turns to one of the men and asks where all the boats have gone. The stranger replies that the last boat has already sailed, but the girl says that it is not night yet, to which he replies that the boats stop running after sunset, so before it gets too dark, they better find a hotel. The main character asks how this is possible, and the man claims that there are hotels in that direction, and they can look for rooms there, and they will also be lucky if they find a free room. The brunette then tells the young lady that there are no options, and she will have to go. The main character is then in shock and wonders if she will really be with Ray tonight. A little while later, the girl in shock asks if there is really only one room left. The girl also says that this is all they have, after which the two enter the room. And the main character looks around and thinks that this can't be, and what should they do because there's only one bed there. At this time, the brunette turns to Elena, and she shudders and asks what is going on. The girl also thinks that maybe she is worrying in vain, and also looks at the brunette's face and understands that he looks so focused, but she needs to stay calm. A little while later, the brunette sits on the bed and thinks if they really will sleep together in the same bedroom, well, it would be better if he leaves there. The main character at that very moment comes out of the bath and says that she feels even better, after which she turns to the brunette and tells him to take a bath too. Well, when the guy is silent, the lady asks what is going on, and has he really not taken off roba yet? The emperor replies that he just wanted to get some fresh air outside, and the girl asks if he really wants to do it right now. And also, is he really going to sleep on the street? And she understands that knights are not surprised by this, but still it is too much, after which the young lady tells him to undress. But then she realizes what she just said and corrects herself, telling him to take a bath and go to bed. A little while later, the two are lying in bed, and the main character asks him if he's not too cramped. Ray replies that everything is fine, and she doesn't have to worry about it. The young lady then thinks that they are so close to each other, and maybe the brunette is worried about her, after which the main character turns to Ray and asks if he has slept with anyone like this before. The guy then asks if she really means whether he spent the night with someone, to which the girl replies that he shouldn't think too much, because she was simply interested in whether he had the same situation. The emperor replies that not once to anything, the young lady says that she has the same, after which the guy claims that he is glad to be her firster and smiles. The main character thinks that if he continues in the same spirit, she might get it all wrongs, after which she turns around and suggests going to bed. The girl understands that this is not the first time she sees Ray smile, but her heart is still beating fast. A little while later, the girl falls asleep, and the brunette gets up from the bed and says that he has the same, but it doesn't seem unusual. However, he still can't calm down, after which the guy extends his hand to the young lady's hand and then turns around and leaves. He also understands that if the girl believes in him so much, then he cannot allow himself to cross the line. The next morning, the main character wakes up, after which she turns around and wonders where Ray is. But then she sees a guy after a shower, and he asks if the girl is awake yet. The main character replies that she is, and just now. The brunette claims that she was sleeping so soundly that he decided not to wake her. Despite him, you are embarrassed. And she understands that she has your eyes run wild. A little while later, these two are already heading towards the boats and returning back. The main character then thanks the brunette and says that she had a lot of fun, to which he agrees. He also suggests that next time they take a walk around the center, to which the girl agrees and states that she will look forward to the next meeting and also choose a good place. Then they say goodbye, and the young lady thinks that even though they had to stay there for the night, it was still fun, after which she thinks where it would be better to go on a date next time. But then she immediately gets embarrassed and thinks, what is she saying, because she and Ray are friends? And he has a lover, after which the girl thinks that it is all because of his ambiguous words. Then the main character goes to the Duke's estate, and the maid says that the lady is just in time because a guest has arrived. The girl, looking at him, understands that it was Count Winterhill, and she was wondering what business he might have with her. A little while later, someone in the palace asked what the urgent meeting was about, and after all, they were also gathering representatives of the upper class. Renier then says that they haven't seen Maynard for a long time, and everything is the same as at the tournament. The blonde also says that the guy has such a serious look, as if he is looking at an enemy. But the knight remains silent, and his interlocutor thinks how complicated everything is. A little while later, His Majesty enters the room and thanks everyone for coming, despite the sudden summons. He also turns to the Marquis of Pullman and proposes to begin, to which he agrees, and then states that the reason for today's meeting is that a letter was received by pigeon post this morning, containing fairly reliable information. The brunette then asks where the pigeon is from, to which the man replies that it is from the Northern District and the departure point is Winterhill County. Their intelligence has confirmed suspicious activity in their territories. The brunette realizes that the lands of Winterhill are so devastated that growing grain seems impossible, and the reason why they are still able to maintain their power. This is because there is the only source of winter iron there, which is many times stronger than usual. Due to their high military strength and resources, the Winterhills have been feared throughout history. But for the past 20 years, the Lord of Winterhill has not shown himself in public, and the man understands that his appearance was that very suspicious activity, but it can't be a simple coincidence. So he suggests that the butler continue the report. At this time, the main character approaches the Count and apologizes for making him wait, since she just returned. The man replies that it's not a big deal, because after all, he suddenly appeared on her doorstep and her daughter asks if he's on business. The man claims that she healed him at a knight's tournament, and he came to thank the lady for this because she saved him. The main character then says that she didn't do anything like that. My man turns to Elena again and says that maybe this is a little unexpected, but has she ever heard of a girl named Sylvia? Elena replies that she has never heard of such a thing before, and the man says that that's how it is, after which the young lady asks if he is really looking for this girl, because if so, then she apologizes for not being able to help. The count claims that he simply decided to ask, so the lady should not worry about it. After which, he also understands that this saint up close looks even more like Sylvia, whom he loved so much. The man also recalls how the girl he was engaged to cried out, "Does he really want to break off the engagement because of some commoner?" Because she would never accept it, and he will not tolerate such humiliation. The man then understands that if he had not been with Sylvia, that horror would not have happened, her immersion into eternal sleep at the hands of his former fiancé. The bride's family was influential enough that the incident was hushed up, and he felt he had to take revenge, so he declared war on them. But the Imperial family called it off, and he could do nothing about Sylvia's immersion in eternal sleep. The man had only the hope of finding his daughter, but his efforts were in vain and funny because he never managed to find her. 20 years passed, and when he began to come to his senses, then this girl appeared. The man at this time asks if the girl could tell about her family, and she thinks why the count wants to know about this. The man asks how her parents or brothers and sisters are. The girl replies that she has no family because she grew up alone, and the man asks where she comes from. Elena replies that she doesn't remember her childhood well and was told that after birth she was immediately given to the temple. The young lady also thinks what to do and can say something else, after which she claims that if you ask the temple, they will tell you something. The man then says that indeed the temple accepts and raises orphans, so it is quite natural that the child will later become a priest. He also asks the lady if he can ask her one more question, and looking at the girl's hands, asks if she is a commoner. The girl is then surprised and screams at him, asking what he is talking about, but the man claims that from her reaction, he can tell that he was not mistaken. The young lady is then surprised, and the count apologizes if he frightened her, because in fact she was a saint and of high rank from the common people. I look like her. Elena asks if this is the Sylvia he spoke about earlier, to which the man replies that this is true, and the girl had the ability to heal Elena, then says that this means that besides her, there was already a saint from a commoner who had the ability to heal. The man realizes that the barely noticeable golden eyes when she uses her holy power are very similar to his wife's eyes. The count recalls how his wife said that their child would inherit the best from them, but she also wanted her eyes to be like his and hers. It is a cool and deep gray, and also a kind and loving gold. It would be wonderful if a girl was born with both colors at once. The man then realizes that he would very much like his wife's wish to come true. The emperor at this time asks what is so suspicious about Winterhell, and also to give him a detailed report, after which the servant says that 3 main features are reported. Firstly, it is a monster hunt that takes place every spring. As the emperor already knows, the county is located next to the habitat of evil spirits, and the residents have to get rid of them before the summer, because at this time of year, there are more monsters. Secondly, the fact that territorial troops that were created to destroy monsters were spotted in the citadel, for training purposes of course. But this training is not related to the fight against evil spirits, and it seems their goal is to start a war. One of the aristocrats then asks in shock if they are really preparing to attack what they were so worried about has come true. At this time, the brunette suggests continuing the report and asks, what about point 3? After which, the servant claims that the count has been purchasing food in huge quantities for the past 3 years, and in total, it came to about 2 million kilograms. The blonde then wonders what kind of trading group this is that makes incredible deals and doesn't report them. And he may seem a little arrogant, but he thinks she belongs to the Werner family. After which, the aristocrats are surprised and wonder why this is the Marquise's family, to which the blonde replies that if he had known what they needed, he would of course have refused, and he agreed to the deal only because it was about food supplies for residents affected by the crop failure. But the knight claims that 2 million is a very large figure, to which his interlocutor claims that the greatest damage was done to the county of Winterhill, and perhaps they did business not only with them, but also with other trading houses. Last for 3 years, this preparation takes time, and the man asks if they are really trying to start a rebellion. The brunette asks what the Marquis of Pullman thinks about this, after which the man replies that, in his opinion, this is not a problem that should be treated lightly. If they give them permission, they will immediately conduct further investigation, and if they are really preparing for an attack, they should reduce the amount of hardware they sell. One of the aristocrats also approaches His Majesty and asks how he views the idea of imposing sanctions on the Count. But another says that there is no need to rush, because an uprising is inevitable, and if they act thoughtlessly, they may find themselves at a disadvantage. Then one of them asks whether they should simply stay away. But the Emperor suggests that they stop, and then ask if anyone wants to say anything else. The blonde wonders how about Togo, making sure he can't leave the capital. And he will look for opportunities, while there is still time, because if the Count cannot return to his territory, the plan will be thwarted. He also thinks that this way they will avoid the situation from getting worse. Then the other aristocrats say that they agree, and His Majesty, noticing the knight's reaction, asks if something is wrong. The guy then claims that in truth he saw him in the Palace of Dawn before coming there. He also came to see Duke Levy's teacher, and is worried that he might have some other plans. The Emperor then wonders if the Count has come to visit Elena, after which he claims that he thinks it would be a good idea to increase the number of guards just in case. The man approaches Mr. Buliman and claims that he is in charge of the volume of iron production and trade in the county, and that he should also begin an investigation into the Count's minions in that territory. Brunette understands that the Count can challenge the power of the Imperial family, although this has already been said, but this time everything is different. A little while later, the knight turns to the Marquise and says that he is interested in something. The blonde then says that he looks at him with such hostility and wonders if something is wrong, and also whether he cares about the deal with the Count of Winterhill or his relationship with Elena. The knight then says that he used to envy the Marquis, but soon realized something. After all, the more a person is forced into a framework, the more relaxed he becomes. After which, Maynard asks if his feelings for Elena are real. After all, if this is nothing more than fun for him, then the guy asks to stop right now. After all, this is his advice, and even a friendly request. But the Marquise then asks, what if he says that he does not want to stop, even if it does not matter to him? The knight replies that he will not forgive him for this, and Rainier wonders if what is happening is really just a game for him. And the knight must have felt it, because there is something in this lady that no one else has. And he wants to get this diamond and also make it his thing. The knight is surprised after this. And he also says that Mrs. Elena is not a thing, so let him stop right now. Well, the blonde then apologizes and says that if he doesn't get what he wants, he feels unsatisfied. And he doesn't care about the guy's words. The knight then says that this is how it really is, and in that case, he shouldn't worry. After all, no matter how hard he tries, the girl will not play by these rules, and the mistress will quickly see through someone like him. The guy also claims that he is going to confess his feelings to her because he really values her. The blonde then understands that when Maynard indulges in a dream, he does not notice anything around him, and this determination adds excitement, so the blonde says that it seems he has problems. After all, the guy's words make his heart beat faster, and nothing has been decided yet. Believe me, the battle hasn't begun. Well, he understands that Elena will definitely become his. A little while later, the main character sits and rewrites the book, and also thinks about what it is, and how should she cope with such a quantity. The girl also thinks how long this horror will last, but then she hears someone knocking and coming to the door, and also thinks, is it really Rosalind again? After which the girl claims that she is not finished yet, and the blonde wonders if there is something more important than him, after which he also says that he is glad to meet them, which makes the girl a little surprised, and asks why Mr. Renier is there, and why he is in her room. The man claims that when he admitted that he wanted to meet the lady, the services told him where to go, and he also asked if the lady had a minute. The girl understands that they met at the knight's tournament, but does not understand for what purpose he came now. At this time, the guy only says that this is what her room looks like, and he is a little surprised, because he thought it would be nicer. The Marquis also asks if she meant these notes when she said she hadn't finished. to which the girl replies that she was asked to. The blonde then asks who did it, to which the young lady replies that it was Rosaline, but then she corrects herself and says that nothing like that, and wonders why he decided to visit her. Rainier asks if the lady is unknown. Hey girl thinks is he talking about the situation that happened at the tournament, after which the guy says that this is great, and apparently smart thoughts are still slipping through her mind. And if the lady says that she doesn't understand, this hurts him a lot. The guy then asks if she has had dinner yet, to which the lady notes that everything is correct, and the blonde suggests going to a good restaurant, just the two of them. He also claims that the table is already booked, so no refusals will be accepted, but the young lady claims that it is too sudden. The blonde claims that if they leave now, they will most likely make it. At this time, Rosalind is watching everything and thinks that this thing cannot happen because she came to pick up the records. But what she saw surprised her because the girl was required to just sit in her room and look after her, and she seduces the Marquise and goes to dinner with him. The girl also understands that Werner is a family that values status, and if the Marquise knew that the girl is a commoner, he would brush her off without a second thought. But it will happen very soon, and then the world will open its eyes. A little while later, the two are in a restaurant, and the Marquise asks how the lady is eating. The girl replies that it is very tasty, and the blonde says that thank God, because he rented everything there. The main character wonders if he really bought out a whole floor for dinner, and Rainier loves to communicate and interact with people, but he values the time he spends alone no less. When there is no one around, he drinks alcohol alone. And in any case, there were such scenes in the novel. The guy at this time says that if the lady refused, he would just leave, and the main character asks what he is talking about, because he rented the place. The Marquis replies that he does not like being alone, and that it instills a feeling of uselessness. While the main character then says that he also values time spent alone with himself, and enjoys alcohol in deep loneliness. The guy then asks how she knows about this, after which the lady says that sometimes everyone needs to be alone with themselves. And isn't that true? So, she thought that Mr. Rainier thought the same. That's why she said it. Now the girl doesn't understand what to do because she just blurted it out. And what will happen if he thinks that she's following him? The girl understands that she remembers the smallest details of his life because he was her favorite character. The Marquis, at this time, says that Madame Elena pretended not to be interested in him at all, but in fact, it seems to be the opposite, and he is not that kind of person. And also, they never had a personal conversation, so he asks if the lady tried to find out about his other side, to which the girl replies that not at all. And in this case, the guy claims that he has a question, because there are rumors that recently she has become quite close to the Count, and he is interested in whether this is true, and also tells the lady to answer very carefully. The girl wonders if she really made him angry. And after all, Rainier is from the Imperial faction, so of course he began to suspect her. And the girl says that the Count came to thank her for curing him at the knight's tournament. She really just made a proposal about him, so she asks him to stop doubting her, after which the guy apologizes and says he didn't mean to scare her, and he was simply surprised that someone saw right through him for the first time in a long time. But the lady managed to do it so easily, after which he says that in this case, there is no point in him hiding, and the blonde guy wonders who she is. The young lady then thinks what to do, because it seems she said too much, and the guy claims that this is really unusual. After all, the lady has such insight, and you wouldn't think that she's a commoner. The girl then asks what a commoner means, and the guy replies that she doesn't have to pretend, because you can't fool him, and he's already noticed long ago that she's a commoner. The main character is surprised, and wonders if he really knew from the very beginning. But the blonde claims that he must have missed something. And it's also unfair that she saw him like this. Well, if she becomes his, then the problem will be solved. So he asks if Mrs. Elena agrees. A little while later, the girl thinks what it was. But Rainier has changed so much. The girl thought he was a bright and sweet romantic. But he doesn't understand why he behaves like a dark character, and why it's much more pleasant to watch his favorite heroes from the outside. She needs someone who will listen and show kindness like Ray, but thinking about this guy makes the girl feel embarrassed. At this time, the Duke turns to her and asks if the girl is listening to him, after which she asks for forgiveness, and asks what Levi was talking about, to which he replies that he was talking about the fact that from that day on, he would start fencing lessons. and he can't wait to become as strong a swordsman as his brother. The girl then says that that's it, and asks the gentleman if everything will be okay. After all, his injury has only recently healed. Levi replies that there is no need to worry about this, because Hugo has found the perfect teacher for him. The main character then asks who it is, but at that very moment, the maid informs that the master teacher has already arrived. The boy bows to the Duke and says that it is an honor for him to meet him, after which he also introduces himself and states that he will be responsible for fencing lessons. Much time later, they are already sitting down at the table. Their Duke asks if Brother May will really be his fencing teacher. The guy replies that, to be honest, it was the will of the Chamberlain, and he said that he was entrusting this matter to him. The main character at this time understands that she thought a lot about who would be the new teacher, and it turned out to be Maynard. And if so, then she is calm because the guy has known Levi for a long time. At this time, the blonde turns to his brother and asks why he recently addressed him so respectfully, since before he simply called him Levi. The knight replies that the thing is that he arrived there, as did the fencing instructor, and he will teach the Duke only the basics, but it is necessary to know the etiquette of fencing, after which the guy says that it is cool. And the main character says that maybe she should leave since they will discuss classes, because she will only get in the way. But the knight replies that it is not worth it, and if the lady is not busy now, then let her stay with them. And besides, he has a favor to ask of her. The main character thinks that she is interested in what his request is, just why the guy claims that classes will start tomorrow and they will be held daily from sunrise. Shocked by this and asks if it is really so early, to which his interlocutor notes that this is the time of day when he is most active and has the most main eye. The girl turns to the knight and asks what his request was. The guy then says that he would like her to attend the classes, and the main character wonders if this is in case of injury, but then she will be calmer, after which she says that she understands, and if she does not interfere, they will maintain this order. The knight then thanks her, and says that if he does not interfere, he is also a little embarrassed. The main character asks if there is something on her face, and then the guy says that there is nothing, and he is also looking forward to tomorrow's lesson. The Duke then turns to his brother and says that his face has turned red, to which he replies that it just got hot, and asks if he can open the window. At this time in the Emperor's office, His Majesty says that he heard that Levi will soon start fencing lessons. The butler replies that Lord Maynard will be held responsible for them. His Majesty asks if his brother might have a second attack, to which the servant replies that Priestess Elena will be present at the classes to check the condition. The man then wonders if this is his brother's teacher, to which the servant replies that everything is correct. The Emperor also understands that earlier, the girl asked him what kind of girls Maynard likes, although she said that she was just collecting information. While he thinks that once classes start, they will spend more time together, and if this happens, they can get closer. The Emperor also asks Hugo what the girl has been doing lately. The man replies that there have been no particular changes in training, but His Majesty says that he wants to know something. Besides this, maybe something has changed in her actions, or maybe she met with someone. After all, she is shining a whelp from the Imperial capital temple, and he does not want to cause her inconvenience. The butler then says that the Marquis visited the Palace of Dawn and took the ladies to dinner. The Emperor at that moment rises from his seat and asks if Rainier was really in the Palace of Dawn. The guy also understands that the Marquis is always carried away by different girls. But has he really chosen Elena this time? Therefore, the Emperor thinks how much has piled up. It's been a week since Maynard started teaching the classes, and Levi is still training. There have been no seizures, and he seems happy, so the girl thinks that, judging by the book, the test subject never existed. From the main character's point of view, the Duke was complex, and maybe what happened in the novel does not necessarily have to be repeated in reality, or maybe there are things that only she can change. The Duke at this time finishes 100 blows with his sword, and asks if Elena saw. The girl replies that of course Levi even has a talent for fencing Maynard, then asks Mrs. Elena later if she thinks so, because the Duke has excellent movements, and it seems he is gradually overcoming his fear of weapons. But at that very moment, someone turns to the Lord. Arnisu claims that he has urgent news from the mansion, because the Countess fell down the stairs and is unconscious and has not come to. After this, The guy in shock asks if his mother is unconscious, and the main character thinks how horrible this is, after which he puts his hand on the knight's shoulder and tells him to calm down, because she will go with them, and her power should somehow help, so they immediately go to the mansion, and she asks to prepare a carriage. The girl understands that she will no longer run away, and there is something that only she can do. At first, the lady thought that it would be better to keep the plot of the book. Well, those bonds that she created are special, and the lady realized that this could lead to a positive outcome, so she would try again. A little while later, they immediately run into the estate, and the guy immediately asks how his mother is. But the maid claims that she recently had to, feeding the highest rank, and she could not do anything. The young lady then says that they should wait, because she will try to help her, and wonders where the countess is now. The knight then says that this is a saint from the Palace of Dawn named Elena, and the maid asks if this is the girl who cured Count Winterhill at the knight's tournament, after which she asks to pass, because the countess is in the back room. When the guy sees his mother, he is very worried about her, and the main character understands that the woman is weakening, but not all is lost, and to cure her, her strength will be needed. But this is not comparable to that time, so the girl thinks, if she can do it, and then she lay unconscious for 2 whole days. And what if he used too much power? She would never wake up again and would not be able to see Ray. Well, then the girl hears the knight say what he should do if she leaves. And also, if he had been more attentive, this would not have happened, after which he also tells Mrs. Elena that he is scared, and it is all because of him, after which the main character says that there is no need to worry. After all, with the help of her powers, she will be able to bring the countess to her senses, and then the girl uses it, and the guy understands that this is an incredible healing power. He also tells Mrs. Elena not to overexert herself, because everything is fine, and she has already done everything. Well, then the guy sees his mother come to her senses and is surprised, and also says that her son should not disturb the council, she is fine. The guy immediately screams to the maid and asks if she can call the family, to which she agrees. The guy then turns to Mrs. Elena and thanks her, because thanks to her, his mother survived. Well, then the guy looks at the girl's face and is a little surprised because he sees tears on it, after which he asks what happened and she overworked herself. The main character then asks if something really happened, and the guy answers that she was just crying. Elena asks what he is talking about, and she would not say that she is sick, but the guy claims that he thinks she should rest, so he asks to prepare the room. Elena then thinks what it is, and why these tears. When she used her power, something fell off her, and it felt like water poured out of a glass. Although it was her decision, the girl wonders if she can continue to use this power. A little while later, the lady wakes up. Well, she thinks how strange it is, and also why she is crying, but she understands that she got enough sleep, and also her health has improved. The girl understands that it seems to be evening already, and she has a meeting planned with Ray, so she needs to return quickly because he is waiting. The girl goes out into the corridor and wonders where the countess's bedroom is. Well, then someone turns to Mrs. Elena and says that she was looking for her. The girl asks if it is Mrs. Margaret, and the woman claims that she needed to meet the lady, after which she asks how she is feeling. Elena replies that she felt better after sleeping, and she also apologizes and asks if the countess has woken up yet. The maid tells the lady to follow her, and after all, the mistress wants to talk to her, and she wants to thank her personally, but Elena says that she did nothing of the sort. After which they enter one of the rooms, and the girl sees the whole family there. She also approaches Maynard and asks who these people are, to which the guy replies that they are his family, and they said that they wanted to meet her. After which the young lady apologizes for such a sudden visit. Well, then someone approaches her and asks to be allowed to introduce himself, after which he claims that he is Count Antoine von Errands, and he wants to thank the lady with all his heart for saving his wife's life. The Errands family will never forget her kindness. The girl replies that it is an honor for her to help the lady, after which the 2 knights Barats thank the lady for saving their mother. The woman sitting on the bed then tells the 2 to calm down, and didn't she tell them that they need to be more calm with girls? The woman also turns to their lady saint and thanks her because she saved her life. The main character then says that the lady has come to her senses, after which the woman claims that she feels so good for the first time, and the young lady understands that using her powers was the right decision, because otherwise the Countess could have remained disabled, and this would have had a bad effect on both her life and Maynard. The woman then says that she would like to thank the lady and wonders if she could stay for dinner. The young lady then thanks them, but claims that she has to go back. However, at that very moment, her stomach rumbles, and one of the knight's brothers asks if the lady is hungry. The other says that she needs to eat something quickly, so he suggests going. Elna understands that she has spent too much energy, and it is also awkward for her to refuse. So she has a little time, and everything will be fine. A little while later, the girl is already at the table. One of the brothers turns to the other and suggests that they go and buy a shawl for their mother, to which the other agrees and says that she must not freeze. The man then hands his wife some vegetable soup and says that it is very healthy, after which the woman thanks him, and the main character understands that Maynard has a very close-knit family, and it is so warm and cozy there. Then one of the knight's brothers asks if this is the saint who is faithful to their brother. The other one answers that it is possible, and she is their brother's lady, which does not embarrass the main characters. Maynard then tells Ignis and Fettel to stop their strange conversations, and they are in front of a saint. Their father also tells the two to stop because the lady is uncomfortable. The knight then turns to Lady Helen and asks for forgiveness, and also asks if she will have a little more time. After which the two go out into the garden, and the main character says that it is a bit hot there. The girl understands that the knight is dressed so formally and does not understand what he wants to talk about. The guy then asks the lady for forgiveness for his brother's behavior, but the girl replies that it is not worth it because she was having fun, and also they have a very good family, and she became envious because she has no family. Maynard asks if this is true, to which the lady replies that yes, and she grew up in the temple. The knight then says that here it is, as he could not have thought. The main character claims that everything is fine because she is used to being alone. The guy then says what his younger brother said and apologizes for not being able to explain everything in advance. After all, the presentation of the wreath signifies a knightly oath to the lady, and the lady is the knight's eternal partner. And he asks forgiveness for being in a hurry and for not telling her anything. Well, now he is ready to make an official proposal and wonder if Mrs. Elena will become his partner. That is his lady. The girl then thinks what to do because she was caught off guard at the knight's tournament, and nothing is clear with Rainier. And now even Maynard has begun to behave strangely. And if he continues to look at her like that, she won't be able to say anything. The guy then says that they went to a pastry shop earlier and asks if the lady remembers. The girl claims that she thought they had become friends, so she can't give him a clear answer now. The guy then says that he understood Mrs. Elena and asks her to forgive him for causing her inconvenience, but he still has a chance, and today he was in a big hurry. As for the answer, she can give it when she decides on her feelings, because it can wait. The main character understands that Maynard noticed that she was confused, and in reality, he is as good a person as in the book, so the girl thanks him. A little while later, Ray apologizes for grabbing the girl so suddenly, and she replies that everything is fine, after which the brunette only looks at her with a gloomy face. He understands that he did something that is not typical for him, and he was worried when he heard that the girl would attend fencing classes. And now he was just worried about Elena, and was afraid that her feelings could change. After which the guy only moves away from the young lady, wonders if he is angry because she was late. The brunette then replies that he doesn't, and asks where she got that from, to which the lady replies that his face suddenly darkened, and she asks if she can ask what his loved one looks like. The guy then asks why she asks that, and the girl replies that it's to lift her spirits. After all, when you think about something like that, it immediately becomes better. The guy then says that honestly, he doesn't know, and now he doesn't have much of an opportunity to get closer to her. The young lady then says that this is how he thinks about who his beloved is. The girl also understands that if Ray had been in front of her instead of Maynard at that moment, she would have definitely answered. And the bet is also a knight, and he will someday swear allegiance to some girl. But then the young lady understands that she should not think about it. After which she claims that she heard somewhere that the most important thing in relationships between people is honesty, and that if she says everything directly, then Ray should definitely understand her. The guy then asks why exactly, to which the young lady replies that she can trust him, but understands that this is not what she wanted to say, and thinks why she can't tell him directly. A little while later, the girl is already heading around the estate and realizes that they ended up awkwardly parting ways. She also wonders why she couldn't say what she wanted. But a little while later, she sees something lying under her door. There is also a note thanking Mrs. Elena for curing his mother today. This has nothing to do with what they talked about today, so he asks to accept the gift, not feeling used. And the main character, taking the gift in her hands, understands that Maynard is a very good person, but she can't get Ray out of her head. A little while later, the girl is already heading out into the rain to meet Ray. She also apologizes for making him wait, and that her classes were just too late. She couldn't even imagine that it would suddenly start pouring. The guy replies that if it's because of classes, then nothing can be done, after which the main character thanks him and talks about the practice of treatment. The girl also understands that she feels awkward, and maybe it's because of the fact that they recently separated in a strange way. But today she is so clumsy. But then she says that it seems like there is no serious damage, and the weather is bad today, so maybe they should take a break. But then the guy asks if he really has to be injured, and if they can't just be together for no reason. The main character, looking at his face, is surprised, and understands that she thought he didn't want to spend time with her, but apparently this is not the case, and maybe he is just trying to defuse the situation, after which the lady understands that she also thought about it, and there is no point in running away. Then the lady claims that since the guy doesn't mind, she will be happy to stay with him and suggests finding a place somewhere under a tree. But then the girl also notices some picture and asks what it is, to which the guy replies that there is some food there, because he brought it her, because he thought that they could eat together. But now all the plans have gone down the drain, after which the main game does not apologize and claims that she was so hungry, and also wonders if there is someone there with whom it would be possible to eat together. You see, I want to tell her so much about the Duke, and if only someone would listen to her, after which the guy suggests eating together, and the main character says, sure. Then they sit down, and the young lady says she can't remember the last time she ate such delicious bread, so she thanks the guy for feeding her. The emperor replies that if she's happy, he's happy, and the main character claims that she would definitely regret it if she went back home. But then the young lady also looks at the guy's face and claims that he has something there, after which she shows him so that he can understand where the remains of bread are on his face, but he only gets embarrassed, after which he turns around and thanks the lady. He also says that her lips are so pale, after which the young lady asks if that is really true, to which the guy replies that yes, they are as if lifeless. The brunette also wonders if he made her stay late, and the young lady thinks what to do. After all, she needs to control herself, but she also likes to watch every movement of his hands, after which the main character says that everything is fine, and she is not cold. But the emperor only approaches her. Well, at that very moment, lightning strikes somewhere, and the main character then asks what it was. The girl also understands that he was so close that she was scared, but she already thought that their lips would touch, after which the young lady states that the rain seems to have gotten heavier, and maybe then they will call it a day. The emperor then agrees and says that if she gets wet, she might get sick. The young lady at this time understands that she needs to calm down, because Ray already has a loved one, and she is not allowed to think about such things, but it seems she is forced to admit that she can no longer be friends with him, after which the young lady gets up and says that she will go back first, and also apologizes and runs away. At this time, the brunette understands that since then, he has not been able to understand feelings. Elna, and it seems Rainier and Maynard are really interested in her, but the guy is wondering if he can do something, and you can't leave everything like that. The girl at this time returns to the estate and thinks about how she should act, because it seems that the more she tries to hide her feelings, the more awkward she becomes, and maybe it would be better for her to tell the truth. Well then, the girl sees Ray in front of her and asks what he is doing there, because this is the palace where the Duke is, and a knight in training is not allowed to enter. The guy replies that he came because he wanted to talk to her, and the main character thinks that Ray really wants to discuss something, and it is so important that he decided to come there himself. The guy at this time says that in fact it is him, but at the same moment, someone else comes up and asks who is there, because only authorized personnel are allowed there, and outsiders are not allowed in. So let them get out of there right now. But then the guy is surprised because he sees the emperor in front of him. The main character thinks how terrible this is, because these two shouldn't have met. Hey, the girl thinks what should she do? Because the duke, due to an injury he received in the past, has seizures when he sees men. Ray entered there as a knight apprentice, and also without permission, and the duke may get worse, after which the young lady tells the gentleman not to worry because he is a good man. The guy then asks if he is a good man, and the main character understands that the duke seems calm, after which the girl claims that this guy is her friend, and he is a knight apprentice named Ray, after which the two exchange glances, and the emperor bows, and also says that it is a part of him to see Mr. Levi, and he is a member of the Imperial Knights, and his name is Andre von Roman Murdoch, then asks if he is a knight, and the main character says that he is, and asks the gentleman to listen. After all this, Knight has no manners at all, and he has a reckless character, and he also entered there without thinking about the consequences, but he does not wish evil. And the guy just smiles after that and says, "Okay, ordinary knight's apprentices are forbidden to enter the palace again, since he is Elena's friend, so this time he will forgive." The guy also says that he came to give this, after which he hands over the letter and says that she should read it later. The guy also suggests that his friend find a place where they won't be seen, because he doesn't mind, but what will others say? And after which the girl says that yes, they will be careful too. The duke then runs away and says that he will go then and let them chat there, where there is no one, after which the main character thanks Mr. Levias. And when he leaves, they sigh. The young lady turns to the knight and claims that he acted recklessly because a little more, and he would have been driven away. Well, he likes to scare people, after which the guy apologizes and says that he did not think. Elena says that since he understood then, good, after which she asks why he came. But when the man is about to say something, they hear someone's footsteps, and the guy claims that the time is not right because he showed up too suddenly, and today they say goodbye again. After which the guy puts his hand on the young woman's shoulder, then icily realizes what he did and apologizes. After which he turns around and says that they will see each other again. The main character then thinks what is wrong with him, and the guy suddenly came and also suddenly leaves, so she thinks, why does he leave, disturbing her heart? A little while later, the duke turns to his brother and asks what it was, and also does his brother really know Elena? The man answers that something like Togo and Levi probably understood everything himself, but Elena thinks that he is a knight apprentice, after which the duke asks his brother if he really likes Elena. The emperor asks if it is so obvious and easy to read that even his brother noticed. The duke is then shocked and claims that it is the first time he has heard anyone call him Ray, and also for the first time he saw him so excited, and he doesn't remember his brother like that. The brunette then says that now it's time for him to talk to his brother about these topics, and he is embarrassed and happy at the same time. The boy replies that he does too, but he asks if His Majesty knows how dangerous it is to be with Elena now. The brunette then asks what he is talking about, after which the duke cries out that Brother May has recently become close to Elena, and he looks at her with loving eyes. At every lesson, Rainier also often drops by the palace, and at this rate they will take Elena away from his brother. The emperor is shocked after this, and asks his brother what he should do because he is very bad at love affairs, after which the boy answers that they will solve everything and claims that he has a good idea because he knows how the guy can establish contact with Elena. A little while later, the girl turns to the gentleman and claims that he said that she should come there after lunch, but she still asks what it is and why these two are together. The duke asks her to calm down and claims that they just didn't have time to tell him because in fact Mr. Ray is his relative, which surprises the main character and asks if that's really true. And the guy replies that all aristocrats and members of the imperial family are related by blood in one way or another. So he checked and found out that they are related, and he also didn't faint, because they were already acquainted. The main character then says that that's how it is, and the guy understands that it worked, but the young lady still wonders why he called her then, after which the guy claims that today Lord Ray will accompany her as a knight. But the young lady claims that she needs to return very soon. After which the duke claims that this is not a question of decency, because he cannot allow his saint to walk alone, so with his permission he will accompany her. The main character then looks at the guy, and he wonders if she really does not want to go with him. The young lady replies that it is not about that, because she is probably taking up his time, after which the guy tells her not to worry about it, because it is an honor for him to fulfill his knightly duty. The Duke, watching this, is only surprised, after which these two are embarrassed, and the guy suggests that they hurry up, otherwise they will be late. After which the young man also pushes the saint and says that his hand slipped, after which the lady falls on the brunette. And then he grabs her and asks if the lady is okay. The main character then lifts her face, after which it appears close to the emperor's face. Then she moves away from, also apologizes, because she was pushed after, which she turns to the gentleman and asks what he is doing. The guy then answers, what is he doing? Because he will not interfere, knowing that Lord Ray is with her, and they will see each other later. The girl then thinks why it is unpleasant today, after which she says that they are leaving and sitting in the carriage. The girl understands that she needs to think less, because Ray has no intentions, and he accompanies her like a knight.